Hello, everybody. We are here. Are we happy to be? I'm happy to be with you. I don't know if we're going to be happy to cover today's news, but I will say it's probably the most packed day we've had since we've started this show format. Because I didn't have a chance to do any lead-in as far as the countdown goes or anything like that, I will wait a while for people to hop on. Also, it's looking really good. I have a display here, but I have changed some of my live streaming settings, systems, and stuff like that because we got some requests to make it higher quality video, which, wow, it looks really good, actually. Holy smokes. I should have changed this a long time ago. Hooray. Look at that. But, as I said, we'll wait for people to hop on before we jump into any news. If you are either new to the show or have missed the last few days of my content, I have changed the structure of my show. So previously, I was just doing one like pre-recorded video covering one story per day. Changed it recently. Love this new format where instead of that, I'm doing pretty much a live show every day at 5 p.m. Eastern. And during that live show, part one of it is all news. So like 45 minutes, 30 to 45 minutes to an hour of news stories, just back to back to back. So that's part one of every day's news. And then part two is just like react content. So today we're going to be watching I think it was Arizona. I saw a bunch of clips going around, but I want to watch the whole thing myself. Gubernatorial debate that was just not even real in how absurd it was. So we'll be reacting to that. So pretty much if you're someone who likes watching live content but just wants to get your news from it, then tune in at 5 p.m. Eastern or catch I'll leave up the live stream on my channel and catch that. Watch the first part and bounce. Or if you're someone who just needs as much content as possible, then we do that really fun react content after every day's news. And so as far as what we're going through on today's show, we'll be talking about the mass shooting in Illinois, obviously. We'll be talking about Jalen Walker's shooting, him getting shot by the police. Patrick's time, yeah, it wasn't really, I mean, I guess you could call it that. Yeah, he was trying to disguise from the police. And then we'll be discussing, like I said, Jalen Walker. And then after that, let me scroll down, we'll be talking about, guys, we'll get into the details of it, but seeing my first B in the chat, heck yeah. The Hive, baby. I just started the stream, so if you're hopping on wondering why there's so few viewers, it's because I just went live. Usually I kind of like, set it up with a countdown before, so people know that I'm about to be live, but I didn't this time. Apologies. I had so much to prep today, show-wise. Jared, yeah, I haven't even gotten into anything, so you're good to go. But I do need to, I don't schedule them, but I need to now that I have because I never used to set a time when I would start, but now that I do, I can schedule the live streams and have like a thing an hour beforehand that shows you when it's going live. So I'll do that on the next one for sure. As always, let me know. I think video quality should be a lot better. On my end, it looks so much better than it has been. That's super exciting. Because I got some complaints about video. I went and checked and realized, yeah, the video is not up to par. And so we improved that a lot. Just streaming on my end, some stuff. Still learning, of course. But as I was saying, the third story we're going to talk about is in Texas, some education-related people want to stop saying the word slavery and instead say involuntary relocation of people. Patrick's time, you're the one who made the claim. Do you know how the burden of proof goes? And then we'll talk about Gavin Newsom. And and I missed actually our third story is not the Texas story. It's about two Trump allies getting subpoenaed by a Georgia grand jury. So that's going to be super cool. All right. We will go ahead and hop into today's stories. During a 4th of July parade in Highland Park, Illinois, there was another tragedy, a part of a long line of mass shootings that we have been experiencing in the United States, where 7 people were killed and dozens were injured. Reading, authorities believe Monday's mass shooting at a 4th of July parade in Highland Park, Illinois had been planned for weeks, and they say more than 70 rounds were fired from the gunman's high-powered rifle, which was similar to an AR-15. The 21-year-old suspect is accused of opening fire from a roof of a business, which he accessed from a fire escape ladder, police said. 6 people were killed, and this is, when I screen grabbed this is out of date now. There's actually 7 who have been reported killed at this point, and over 30 were injured in the suburban Chicago shooting. Police said the shooter wore women's clothing during the shooting to apparently allow him to hide his facial tattoos and blend in with the crowd to flee. People are trying to make some weird point, weird, stupid points. The point of that little segment of this article is just to say he was trying to disguise himself, so he put on some stuff that would make him not look like himself. This has nothing to do with any other group of people who wears women's clothing. Just hush about that. This is just someone trying to disguise themselves because he has very distinct facial tattoos. He didn't want that to be seen. Quote, following the attack, the shooter exited the roof. He dropped his rifle and blended in with the crowd, and he escaped, police said Tuesday. He walked to his mother's home, who lived in the area, and he blended right in with everybody else. It appears the shooter brought the high-powered rifle legally in Illinois, police said. No motive is known, police said. When asked by reporters if the gunman targeted anyone specifically, police said the shooting appears to be completely random. The shooter is answering questions from investigators and has made statements taking responsibility for the attack, according to multiple law enforcement sources. So again, just an absolute tragedy. Another young, early 20s, because we've seen a lot of late teens, early 20s white male shooters, and this is another in that line. A little bit more about this. The shooter, who was apprehended Monday evening after an hours-long manhunt, is believed to be linked to social media posts that discuss or depict acts of violence, including shooting people, a law enforcement source briefed on the case told ABC News. So yeah, as I said, another tragedy in America. We've seen a lot of these, and just the idea that you would go out to a 4th of July parade, you're supposed to be having fun, and you end up having to run for your life or be shot yourself, and obviously, worst case scenario, killed. So uniquely, this particular tragedy, because there was a parade going on and people were filming the parade, was caught, at least the sounds, on video. So we will be watching that, but obviously disturbing stuff. So let's watch.
As we heard from Sean a few moments ago, that it was.
So you can hear the sounds in the background of pop, 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 and then all of them panicking. And one of the things that was tough about this is that sound is one that you're more expecting to hear on 4th of July because of fireworks. And so you could see with some of them, there was a delayed response before they recognized what was actually going on, which is super sad. The fact that you would be thinking, oh, it's the sounds of the fun fireworks, and then you realize, no, it's the sound of people being killed for absolutely no reason. So just unfathomable. The constant stream of massacres that we have to experience in the United States is wild, to the point where there's multiple mass shootings that happen every single week. We won't even cover all of them. We won't even cover most of them. There's going to be so many mass shootings that we'll cover this one, and there was multiple over the weekend, and there's going to be multiple in the next week, and it's not even going to be newsworthy. That's how many we have, whereas in many other countries, it would be an event of its own just to have one. But for us, we have multiple that just the most notable ones get any news coverage. super, super heartbreaking. So we'll get into the gun control piece of this, but one of the Republican responses that has been criticized a lot is a GOP candidate for governor who, in his response video to this tragedy, he is running in Illinois, so a little bit more relevant to hear what he has to say if you're hoping to step into the seat that would be the most powerful, government individual in Illinois. And he got a lot of criticism because he said, let's move on, in his video about the shooting. And I got my hands on the video because it was going around, but it's the worst audio you've ever heard. So I don't really feel like watching it because it is agitating to listen to the audio. But here's the crux of what people were annoyed with. Quote, "The shooter is still at large, so let's pray for justice to prevail." That's perfectly fine. Bailey said while leading a group prayer that was broadcast live on his Facebook page. Quote, "And then let's move on and let's celebrate the independence of this nation." He added, we've got to get corruption and evil out of our government. So obviously saying like, hey, let's celebrate still is not necessarily the worst thing in the world, but it was this attitude of like, come on, let's move on. Let's not spark a whole conversation around gun control. Let's not spend too much time focusing on this. Let's go ahead and move on. But that's really of bad taste in my mind, because yes, we do have to stop every time one of these happens, or we should. We won't, but we should. And we have to think every single time, what are the solutions? We know what many of them are to prevent things like this from happening in the future. So with any shooting like this comes the question of how do we stop it? And obviously the recent gun control bill that was signed into law by Joe Biden hasn't had a chance to be implemented. So we can't really analyze would that particular piece of legislation, that particular government action have prevented this specific tragedy. But even so, as I said in my video covering that gun safety bill, even if somehow it would have stopped if it was implemented earlier, this particular shooting, we know it's not enough. We analyzed the bill. It's not, or the major points of the bill. It is not enough. We have to do so much in this country to solve this issue because it's a massive issue. And with massive issues come massive solutions. And obviously the idea that any 21-year-old can easily go and access a gun designed to do mass casualties in a war context is crazy. And then the fact that we don't have an effective system set up to identify people like this and find posts on social media that are concerning and flag those and then flag that individual and take some sort of action to prevent them from carrying these acts out, or at least getting the weapon that allows them to carry out such devastation. The fact that we don't have a system like that is wild. And as a reminder, this is not oh, well, that's just one of those tough things about life. We can't really do anything about this issue. No. As we talked about before, look at how we compare to other countries in gun murders. Now, we talk about gun violence generally, which is super important, but just to get real dialed in specifically about gun murders per 100,000 people, look at this. We're a complete outlier. This is not something that you ignore as a country whenever a really horrible thing is where you stand out undeniably among all other developed countries. It can't be ignored. And clearly we're doing something wrong because all the other countries that line more up with us in other ways have figured it out in some way, don't have this issue to such an extent. So clearly there's something we could change in our country to prevent such tragedies. And a piece of footage that we see of similar kind pretty often is this, and this just isn't something that people in a developed country should be having to experience across the country, even at the slightest sound of something like a gunshot. So in this particular case, coming out of Philadelphia, it looks like, was there actually a gunshot? I don't know. Not relevant. We've seen time and time again that because of this constant flow of gun-related gun-related deaths, because of this flow of mass shootings, the slightest indicator that one of those might be happening near you makes people panic, which shows how fearful people are in America to walk around. This is not a fear that people have in a lot of other countries. And so, do we need to invest in mental health? Yes. Do we need to have systems set up to monitor social media and identify suspicious activity? Yes. But it is so obvious, it is right in our face, that the largest factor, and a very obvious factor, that is consistent in all of these situations that we could address, is the guns. People are getting their hands on weapons designed to do as much damage as possible, so no wonder they're doing so much damage. And to anyone who sees coverage like this and thinks, why does every tragedy have to be segued automatically into a conversation around gun control? Yes, that is exactly what we should do, because clearly, as I said, we're doing something wrong if we stand way out compared to all of these other developed countries in the amount of gun deaths that we have. And so every time that we get a massive heartbreaking event like this, it must be a huge reminder that now's the time. It's been the time for a long time, and now is the time to take action on this issue. Systemic change needs to be made to solve such a massive issue. And that needs to be taken now. Bigger than what we saw from the House, Senate, and Biden recently. Bigger than what's been proposed by Republicans. We need big action to solve such a big issue, and it needs to happen now. Or we're going to keep seeing heartbreaking, tragic events like what happened in Illinois over the weekend. Okay, I'm gonna get to comments. How's everybody doing? Don't forget, if you want to support the show, the number one best way is to become a patron at patreon.com/Luke Beasley. Patreon.com/Luke Beasley. You get a bonus show, 30 minutes a week, just kind of extra content, mainly as a thank you. Like, this doesn't make up for how much I appreciate you guys, but here's a little something as a thank you, which is extra content, but it does help me do this show. We're trying to make it something real, something substantial, and so any support helps. But then also, if you want to interact with me during the show and send that support my way, then super chats are a great option. You can send a super chat. I'll read your comment as well as give you a bunch of gratitude, and it will help me continue to do this and continue to build it. Oh my goodness, let's see. Is there an argument going on in the chat? Oh, Patrick's time. Hey, after my news segment, if you're still on here, I would love to chat with you over Discord on stream. But to your point about Chicago's extreme gun control not stopping gun violence, is that not one you've heard addressed before? Like, it's kind of weird that I even have to explain this to you. This is why you need national gun control, because just think about this. Ready? Chicago's a city very close to the rest of the state, very close to other states. So it's very easy. Almost all the guns that come into Chicago are a large portion of them come from states that actually have lax gun control. And so what you see is when you don't have good gun control nationwide, then in individual parts of our country, if they have good gun control, that doesn't solve the issue, because guns are so accessible just right outside of that particular municipality or that particular state. That should be pretty easy to understand. Hopefully you can get that, grasp it. The police are not liable for your safety. I think that's actually exactly what they're, responsible for, at least. Why else would we have police if we don't want them to make us safer? Salim, thank you so much for sending the super chat. Salim and I had a great conversation a few days ago. Hey Luke, since the ones in power aren't bothered to do much about it, what can the average American person living in America do about it? Well, the way to do something about gun control or about gun violence is, well, depending on what you're asking. On a societal level, it is going to be the people in power, but we influence the people in power. So as we talked about in our conversation, it's going to have to be a significant amount of pressure from you and I, from the country, individual members of the country, pressuring their politicians to do the right thing, which we've seen to an extent. The reason why the Republicans in our federal government who did act on this issue, even though it wasn't enough, they did go along with more gun control than they had been on board with before, is because public opinion changed so sharply in that direction. So it is going to come from us influeing our politicians to do the right thing on this issue. But as far as like on an individual basis, obviously, like, be kind to the people around you. Try to identify people around you who might be disturbed and get them help. I think remind friends of yours if they're like really wanting to get a gun. Listen, you have that right. Hopefully you go through the proper processes to get properly trained and understand that weapon. But I will remind you that having a gun near you in your household does increase your likelihood of something going wrong. Obviously, it does make it much more likely that something terrible will be done with that gun. Just a reminder. But if you do really want one, then make sure you get trained and you learn about how important it is to understand the threat that weapon poses. And then, yeah, I would say the quickest, point A to point B of getting what we want in this country is going to be getting the correct politicians in power and pressuring politicians to do the right thing. Okay. Supreme Court ruled police are not liable for your safety. Lol. Well, you're using the word liable, so I'm sure, yeah, in a narrow sense, like, that could be correct. I'm just saying generally, like, if you don't feel safe, one of the solutions to that is trying to make sure we have good law enforcement who keep us safe, because they're the ones with the lethal force. All right, I'm really interested in the comments y'all are putting, so just know that. But I am going to jump into the next story, and then we will get back to more comments after that. Jalen Walker was shot and killed after being chased in his car and then on foot by police in Akron, Ohio. He was shot 60 times. Let me say that again. He was shot 60 times. Okay, let's read. On July 3rd, police in Ohio on Sunday released body cam footage and further details Sunday from the shooting of Jalen Walker, who was killed by officers last week. Akron police attempted to pull over Walker, a 25-year-old black man, for an unspecified traffic violation on Monday morning and began to pursue him when he did not stop his vehicle, the department said in a statement. During the pursuit, officers reported a firearm being discharged from the suspect's vehicle before Walker allegedly jumped out of the car from the passenger side door as it continued to roll forward and officers began to pursue him on foot, police said. Akron Police Chief Steve Millett said in a press conference Sunday that police went back to the scene where officers alleged hearing a gun discharged from Walker's car. So far, we're going to keep reading, but so far, they're saying what we saw in the body cam footage. One of the pieces we don't know about, but what we had seen was they chased him in the car. He got out of the car and was running away from them, and that's when the 90 shots were fired, 60 of them hitting him. But now what they're getting to specifically is, was the police's claim correct or accurate, truthful about Walker shooting out of his car at the police. So, quote, a casing was discovered at that location consistent with a firearm that Mr. Walker had in his vehicle. BCI will determine whether or not that casing came from the gun or not. He said Walker was wearing a black ski mask over his face when he exited the vehicle and reached towards his waist as officers pursued him on foot, police said in a press conference Sunday. So police said, just keep that clear. Just so you know, I'm not reading this as fact. I'm reading this article that is laying out what the police's reports are, and then we'll get to who's making other claims. However, no firearm was found on Walker's body, and a handgun, ammunition clip, and what appears to be a gold wedding ring were found on the driver's seat. So that specifically debunks at least the claim that he actually had a gun on him and was turning to shoot the police when he got shot all of those times. Now, as it said, the investigation is going to find out if he actually did shoot out of his car like the police claimed. But we already know one of their claims doesn't seem to be true about him having a firearm while he was running away. Now, does that mean their claim about thinking it is necessarily a lie? No, but already we're seeing that the original story at least didn't happen in the way they thought in the moment it was happening. Officers tried to stop Walker using stun guns and opened fire after seeing the stun guns failed, police said. A little bit more, Millett said Sunday that he did not know the traffic or equipment violations cited by officers in attempting to pull Walker over. He said that 8 officers were placed on paid administrative leave as part of protocol following a police shooting, and the Ohio Attorney General's Bureau of Criminal Investigation will lead the probe of police use of force. So we're going to look at the footage. Obviously, it's disturbing, but it is necessary that we watch it and see all of this, the way that it went down. Huge tragedy. Regardless of what facts you think are accurate or not, this is not something that we should have happen. And it's a tragedy, absolutely. So let's take a look. Again, content warning. This is very disturbing stuff. So you can see he was in his car and they were chasing him, and then he got out of the car. So I think the number one part of that is so disturbing, I know I'm kind of overusing that word, but that's the one that keeps coming to mind, is the number of shots that were fired. And you can see there's a whole group of police officers. He goes down and you just continue to hear the shots ring out, which is sends a chill down your spine. So Jalen Walker, he didn't have any criminal record. He had 1 traffic ticket. I've gotten more than 1 traffic ticket. So this isn't a case where the police were chasing a dangerous criminal. It is unclear why he ran. From the perspective of his family, that seemed out of character, they said. Why he had a mask and a gun and all of that, it's unclear. And that's why, of course, investigations are important. But then once we find out the facts, it's often upsetting because the investigations don't always yield the correct results. So just you as a viewer of all of this, it's hard to have faith. You and I, it's hard to have faith that what is found out in the investigation will necessarily lead to the correct consequences, the correct outcomes for all of those involved. So again, of course, they should be doing an investigation, get all the facts of the situation out, and determine the fate of the officers, of course. But regardless of the specifics of this, and who's telling the truth, who's not, what did the police actually think happened, why did they react in the way that they did, I think we can all agree that something's deeply wrong about seeing a group of police officers fire 90 shots at one guy who's running away from them and 60 of them hitting him. Again, as he's running in the opposite direction. And of course, they're saying, as I mentioned, that they thought he was grabbing a weapon, but he wasn't. that's what we found out now. He wasn't carrying a weapon at that time. And so time and time again, we unfortunately see these false narratives come from. Now, again, I'm not saying that the police didn't necessarily think that he had a weapon in that moment, but we do have this track record of false narratives coming out from the police and then them being disproven by the footage, by further investigation. So it's hard to take their word at face value, because regardless of if they felt like they saw that, they would have to give some excuse. And so it's just hard to know if they're telling the truth or not, and what role that plays in all of this. So quickly, Walker's family's lawyer told the Akron Beacon Journal Saturday that he reviewed the body camera footage and saw no evidence regarding the allegations that Walker shot at the officers. There is no stopping and turning around. There's no making his hands into a shape of a gun. There's no holding a cell phone. He has nothing in his hands. And I'll remind you, this was all started from a routine traffic stop. Again, things do happen that are against the ideal way to act as someone who's being pulled over in this world, and they shouldn't always lead to the most horrible outcome. Does that make sense? Because a lot of times when tragedies like this happen, people say, well, look, he didn't do what you should do, which is, pull your car over, put your hand on the wheel, whatever it is. And it's like, yes, but those things are going to happen. And police need to figure out a way to not always have those situations escalate to someone dying. They don't always lead to that, but I'm saying not have situations like that lead to someone dying. We have to figure out a way to make that happen. Because so often you think, yes, obviously I wish he hadn't run away. I wish all of those variables hadn't been in place beforehand. But then why didn't the police have enough sense to prevent what did happen from happening? After the moment of him not complying with the traffic stop, why did it have to lead to him dying? Someone who, like I said, doesn't have any criminal record, has one traffic violation. He was getting pulled over for a traffic violation. I would much rather someone in that situation get away, run away. They have his car. They can figure out his identity and track him down later if it's so important. But I would prefer them get away in that one moment than them die. The response to someone running doesn't need to be them dying. And, we just covered the mass shooting in Illinois where an individual shot a bunch of people in cold blood, and the police were able to arrest him alive. And so again, they can't figure out a way in this situation where someone did not go do a bunch of horrible acts to apprehend him alive. They figured out how to apprehend a mass shooter alive who was posing an active threat, but not someone who was running away from them. That baffles me. So the shooting expectedly caused an eruption of protests. Apparently, they had a significant amount of time, this is good, of peaceful protesting, but then later on it did escalate to violence, which obviously shouldn't be happening. That is not, in my mind, I truly believe that's not going to ever get you the results that you want. It is not the most effective way to make your anger known. It's escalating to violence won't do it. But overall, this is heartbreaking, obviously, for Jalen Walker's family, and disturbing stuff for us all. All right, checking out comments. Let's see. Let's see what y'all have to say. Did Patrick respond saying if he wanted to come on after this? It will probably be like 20 minutes from now or something. 25, 30. Yeah, and one of the reasons, the things I read was that the family, at least, was saying, we don't know why he ran, but part of it is he had just gone through something like a traumatic time in his life. His girlfriend died of gun violence, I think. And maybe he was just so panicked with all of what we've seen. He was just so panicked that any interaction with the police wouldn't go well. Or even if he had, like, you know, the gun wasn't registered to him, and he was afraid they were going to find that, or maybe he just panicked and ran away, and it led to this. Again, we should be able to figure out in the country how to have situations go wrong and not go completely wrong, right? Have an individual who's getting pulled over do the wrong, not comply, and it not turn into a death situation. Yeah. All right. Let us get into our next story. In my home state of Texas, the education agency is considering for certain elementary school curriculums, or curriculi, is that correct? Replacing the word slavery with involuntary relocation. Not a joke. Let's read. From CBS, Texas education officials are considering a change in the way slavery is taught to second graders, replacing the word slavery with involuntary relocation in state standards. Whoops. The Texas Education Agency, which is responsible for setting curriculums and statewide student assessment testing, has multiple work groups that draft curriculums for each subject and grade. When the agency presented the idea to use involuntary relocation at a recent State Board of Education meeting, board member, Ika Davis, said she was not okay with that at all. Davis shared a clip from the meeting on Facebook. There's a viral post, this is from her. Quote, there's a viral post stating that the Texas Education Agency is trying to change the word slavery to involuntary relocation in Texas history standards. She wrote in the caption of the video, sadly, there is some truth to that statement. They were looking at some trade books that exist and kind of talking about how you would explain to second graders that a lot of people got to this country in very different ways and for very different reasons. Some of which, oh my gosh, I'm laughing, but this is terrible. Some of which were voluntary and some were not. I think the very best way to address that was what they were struggling with, the agency member said. We're going to keep this slide up for a second here because what? Your reasoning for replacing the word slavery with involuntary relocation is because, second graders need to understand that a lot of people got to this country in a lot of different ways. Some of them voluntary, some of them involuntary. I'm sorry, but involuntary as a second grader would have sounded like totally fine. Voluntary, involuntary, teach, I don't know what you're saying, but it sounds like everyone was excited to come to America. But as we understand, the word slavery, even for the youngest people, has weight, has moral baggage to it, as it should. And that's why we use the word slavery, because it's only used in one context, people owning other people. Involuntary relocation sounds like you got evicted or something. Or it was like, hey, I know that you wanted to go to Australia, but we're sending you to America instead. Apologies. No. What we're talking about, and of course the graphic details don't necessarily need to be introduced in second grade, but the weight and importance of these topics do. The reality is that people were forced in chains to come to America, owned by other people, raped, abused, killed, and obviously used for their labor forcefully. That's what we're talking about. And so glossing over it in this nice cutesy language that makes it sound like a unexpected trip or something is completely not appropriate. It's hilarious that this is coming from, likely, we can kind of expect, we can kind of predict, the same people, the right, who pretends like the left is trying to erase history by taking down statues of generals who fought for the side in a war that wanted to keep slavery. Us wanting to not have statues giving respect and honor to someone who fought to keep slavery is erasing history. Actually erasing words from history class is not erasing history. That makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? And it is wild because when we first started seeing this recent wave of book bannings by Republicans in schools and this obsession with critical race theory being in elementary schools, even though it's not, people said they're eventually going to get to slavery and not want to teach slavery at all. And even my response was like, come on, guys, no way. Not even the conservative movement would, again, as I always say, not necessarily all conservatives. I know lots of conservatives who would also think this is crazy, but the far right, I thought, won't even try to do that. But here we go. Okay, I kind of thought they would do it, but I hoped they wouldn't. But here we go. If you're trying to completely get rid of a topic such as slavery from schools, you would start by removing the particular language that, as I said, holds such moral weight, right? And then you would just continue to slowly nudge it all the way out of the books completely. Now we're not even talking about involuntary relocation. Let's just ignore that whole chapter in history class altogether. That is what this definitely is on the way towards. Unbelievable. Now, they have not done it. This is a proposal being made. But the individual who spoke out against it, who's on the board, clearly thought it was a serious enough consideration among her board members that she wanted to speak out against it. If this was just one wacko saying something, hey, let's replace the word, no one took it seriously, she probably wouldn't have made a deal of it. But because it was being seriously considered by enough of that board, she felt like she had to come out and speak out against it, which shows me they actually, at least some portion of this board, wanted to replace the word slavery with involuntary relocation. Absolutely insane. And this is a reminder that liberals and progressives need to get involved in local politics. Because if it's only the wackos who care about these issues and push their values in these contexts, newsflash, they're going to be the ones winning and implementing their vision of America for us all to live under. All right, let's get into reading some more comments. Amazing. A super chat from Z King. Thank you so much, Z. Involuntary relocation doesn't make sense considering that aftermath of that process. Oh, the aftermath. I gotcha. There's a space in between of that process. What explanation would be provided for the life of slaves because they've been enslaved for generations? Right. Totally. Well, that's why so early you have to start teaching people this historical event, because it takes years to really understand, and by the time you get older and can understand the deeper elements of slavery and the effects of slavery, you have to have that foundation, right? And so if originally it was taught to you as involuntary relocation, it's going to take a lot more understanding. You're going to be behind the curve on understanding the true tragedies that were afflicted and the true nature of the issues we now have because of slavery. Great point, Z. Thank you so much for the super chat. A massive super chat from Cody Culp. Thank you so much. He said, hope all is well. I hope all is well to you as well. You're amazing. Thank you so much. Let's see. Are we talking about the Texas thing? Yeah, we were, Doug. Pretty crazy. Civil War was about states' rights. Yay! Yes. Wait, I don't know if you said this in the chat. Patrick's, I will literally, like Venmo you if you'll come on my show. At the end, I have two more stories to get through, and then you can come on. Because you seem like opinionated, but I think we could have a really good conversation. And I would be really interested to actually hear your opinions face to face virtually rather than just reading them in the chat. That'd be awesome. So during one of these breaks, let me know, and we'll get that going after this. By the way, announcement. This is really fun. Tomorrow, right at 5 p.m. Eastern, which I will set up a, event next time so that y'all will be able to be reminded that it's happening beforehand. 5 p.m. Eastern. So instead of doing my normal stories at the top of the show, we'll do that after what I'm about to explain. But if y'all remember, I did that debate with Vosh, and one of the points that we differed on was the history of Nazi Germany. Because he was making the comparison to the United States, and I was saying, it's not analogous, or like, what are you calling for? And much of his audience was like, Luke, you don't know about Nazi Germany. You're clearly not informed. Well, I had a guy reach out who's a huge history buff, a history nerd, and really wanted to talk with me about it to explain how Vosh was wrong, and how the history of Nazi Germany is not as I don't know how to explain it. Point is, he thinks it would be beneficial to me, to Vosh fans, and to you guys to learn more about the history of Nazi Germany, because the fascism element of it is getting brought up a lot now within the context of United States politics. And so really understanding the details of that, he believes and I believe will be beneficial. So that means tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern, we will curricula. Yes, that's what it was. Thank you. We will, I'm so bad at reading and talking at the same time. At 5 p.m. Eastern, we will have, the guy's name is Raymer, on to do that. It'll probably take, I don't know how long, anywhere 30 minutes, an hour. After we do that, fascinating. I hope you guys enjoy it. Then I'll get into the news for the day. And then we'll do React content. So we probably won't do React content tomorrow. So it'll be like the Nazi Germany stuff, and then the news, and then I'll go, because I have a dinner tomorrow. But awesome. I think it'll be super fun. Patrick's, I need a confirmation so that I can know if I need to send you the link and stuff. Anyways, decide during this next story, and then we'll do it. But you only have one option, and the answer is yes. Otherwise, I'm going to think you're a coward. Obviously, I have to think that, right? That's fair enough. If you're not going to come talk to me, you'll talk a big game in my chat, but not talk with me. No, you will. Patrick seems like a brave guy. We'll have a good conversation. Okay. This story is crazy. Rudy Giuliani and Lindsey Graham have been subpoenaed by a Georgia grand jury in relation to their potential criminal actions in trying to overturn the 2020 election results in Donald Trump's favor. Hear that. Two of Trump's allies subpoenaed by a Georgia grand jury. That's big. Let's read from CNN. An Atlanta area grand jury investigating former President Donald Trump's attempts to overturn the 2020 election in Georgia has subpoenaed a handful of key Trump allies, including his former attorney Rudy Giuliani and South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham, according to court filings. The subpoenas also cover a handful of Trump's other former legal advisors, including John Eastman, Jenna Ellis, Cleta Mitchell, and Kenneth Chesbrough. Fulton County District Attorney Fannie Willis has been leading the investigation digging into Trump's actions in Georgia. Several state officials have already been subpoenaed and have appeared before the special grand jury, but the latest raft of subpoenas makes a new phase of grand jury activity that reaches into Trump's inner circle. A spokesperson for Graham did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Bob Castello Giuliani's attorney said he has not yet received a subpoena and declined to comment further. So this is all in relation to a number of different actions that were taken by Trump and by allies around him to wrongfully change the election results in favor of Trump. Of course, if you remember, Trump's part in all of this was pressuring Brad Raffensperger to find 11,000 votes. That sounds on the up and up, if you remember this.
I just want to find 11,780 votes, which is one more than we have, because we won the state. I only need 11,000 votes. Fellas, I need 11,000 votes. Give me a break. There's nothing
we'll just keep watching.
wrong with saying that, that you've recalculated.
Well, Mr.
We'll watch Raffensperger's response, but remember how crazy that was. Trump goes, I need 11,700 whatever votes. I need 11,000 votes. I need 11,000 votes. Nothing's wrong with saying you recalculated. That is legit insanity.
Mr. President, the challenge that you have is the data you have is wrong.
The president pressures Raffensperger for an...
Okay, wow. Gosh, I forgot how wild that was. We need to watch old wild clips like that more often, because that is a former president, but at the time the president, calling a secretary of state of a state he lost in and saying, listen, buddy, I just need 11,000 votes. Like, what? You can say you recalculated and now I won by one vote. That is insane. And then the Lindsey Graham piece of this, we know what Rudy Giuliani was doing, obviously trying to change the election results, but Lindsey Graham also allegedly attempted to pressure Brad Raffensperger to do something to help Trump unlawfully win the election. Reading from The Guardian, quote, Raffensperger told the Washington Post Graham had indicated he should find ways to toss out legal mail-in ballots. He should toss out legal mail-in ballots is what Raffensperger claimed Graham pressured him to do. Quote, it sure looked like he was wanting to go down that road, he said. Speaking of Raffensperger, counties administer elections in Georgia, making Raffensperger powerless to do what Graham apparently wanted. True. It was just an implication of, look hard and see how many ballots you could throw out, Raffensperger told CNN. Graham told The Hill the claim was just ridiculous and that if he felt threatened by the conversation, he's got a problem. That, I forgot how crazy that was too. He's specifically saying, hey, you know how we have this one way of voting that is mail-in voting? Yeah. A lot of those this election, because Trump went hard against the idea of mail-in voting, tended to go Democrat because Democrats felt more comfortable voting by mail because their leader of their party wasn't railing against them. Well, so they're going more for the Democrats. Could you just find some excuse to toss those ballots out? Come on. I won't tell anyone if you won't. So this is another step in the direction of justice for some of these people. And as I'll continue to say, I only want any of them to be held legally responsible if it can be shown undeniably not only that they acted in an undemocratic way, but they acted in an unlawful way. And hopefully that can be proven if it did indeed happen. But if it is the case, then seeing those investigations go forward is a good sign and will hopefully reveal the truth and then get consequences for those involved. Don't support, do support. Don't forget, if you support the show and want to give it the support that it needs to continue to live and continue to grow, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/Luke Beasley, where you will get access for as little as $5 a month to a weekly bonus show, 30 minutes-ish of extra content per week, as a thank you to everyone who supports what I do here. Patreon.com/Luke Beasley to become a member, and the reason that I can do the show. Thank you so much. All right, let's get to some comments. Oh, we got some bees in the chat. Doug said I'm bad at recognizing the small donors. No, I was recognizing you the whole time. You remember? Oh, there we go. Well, I'll recognize your darn super chat after I'm done telling the story, you geese. Here you go. Thank you so much to Doug, the sweetest man on the planet, for sending me $1. You are absolutely amazing, and I appreciate you a ton. Okay, let's get updated on the Patrick situation. Not coming on your show. Okay. Why are you still talking in my chat then? We have a policy here. If you're going to say big stuff in the chat, you got to say big stuff to my face. That's kind of the rule. Otherwise, you're just a scared little person behind a computer. And honestly, I'll be nice to you. It'll be fun. Well, I might be nice. I'll start out being nice. If you're crazy, then I won't. But, like, it'll be fun. I called you a geese, not a geezer. To be clear, can we chat on Discord? Yeah, after I finish the last story we have today. But to Doug's thing, my family calls everyone geezers. I finally looked up the name and realized it means something old. I don't mean that. It means like an old person. That's not how I use it. I just always walked around the house calling everyone geezers, like my brothers and stuff. It was kind of just what we did. So I mean no harm. It's just a funny word. Geezer. Anyways, all of the love and peace in the world to you. Oh, by the way, I uploaded the video about just because I thought, I don't know, that was funny, and I wanted, I needed content for the day. So because we missed Monday because of 4th of July, so I uploaded the clip of me going over that voicemail who was left on Pacman's show going after me, and I should have expected this because you guys are so nice, but I don't know if I consciously had this thought, but then I uploaded it and just so many nice comments. I felt so weird. I was like, no, I shouldn't have uploaded that. That was too much of a alley-oop for you guys to be way too nice to me. Cause just flooded with comments mad at the guy and nice to me. And I was just blushing the entire time. It was quite sweet. Jared. Thank you, Doug. It's true. Doug did cry for days after. Oh my gosh, we're already going for an hour. I need to pick up the pace. I will get into the last story, and then we're going to have a lot of fun afterwards because Patrick's going to change his mind. We're going to talk, and after that, Z King and I are going to talk. And then we're going to be watching the most insane Arizona debate. It'll be great. I think it's Arizona. I got to check on that, but it'll be fun. Last story, though, first. 5 stories today, guys. That's not too shabby. Governor of California, Gavin Newsom, released a spicy new ad that is being run in Florida, accurately going after Governor Ron DeSantis. Really good stuff. Really good stuff. Let's take a look.
It's Independence Day, so let's talk about what's going on in America. Freedom, it's under attack in your state. Your Republican leaders, they're banning books, making it harder to vote, restricting speech in classrooms, even criminalizing women and doctors. I urge all of you living in Florida to join the fight, or join us in California, where we still believe in freedom. Freedom of speech, freedom to choose, freedom from hate, and the freedom to love. Don't let them take your freedom.
Paid for by Newsom for California Governor 2022.
Not too shabby. It's really fascinating. He's running an ad in Florida going after the governor in Florida. So this is awesome. Apparently it was run on Fox News, which is really cool. And it's being played for the correct people if you're trying to have any chance of changing anyone's mind. It does seem also to be a possible signal that Newsom may be considering a 2024 presidential run, because it's unusual for a governor to use his gubernatorial campaign funds to attack a different governor in a different state across the country. That's unusual. But if he's trying to set up, get some national attention through a feud with another very prominent, the most prominent right-wing governor and possible 2024 Republican nominee for president, that would make a lot that would make a lot more sense, because you're trying to get a big feud going with another prominent governor who is likely running for or maybe running for president, and give you a little bit of a spotlight to set up a presidential run. And I'm going to be honest, while it's not like Gavin Newsom is a perfect candidate. He may be a serious good option for the Democrats. He's pretty progressive on a lot of things and is young for a politician, especially in our political world. He's a governor of the biggest state in the country and has done some good stuff in California. So since we are in a kind of a scary spot as the Democrats right now, where it doesn't look good for the Democrats if they go with Biden as the 2024 nominee, horrible if they go with Harris based on her polling and all that type of stuff. And then there's not many other options, as we've gone through on the show before. So maybe starting to invest political capital in the rise of Gavin Newsom as a possible candidate wouldn't be a bad option. Because if he ran a good campaign, I honestly think he would have a good chance of beating Trump or DeSantis, which is more than I can say for most of the Democrats at this given moment. And if he can continue with the rhetoric and stuff like that in that ad, he will be seen as much stronger than many of the other Democrats as well. Okay, that concludes today's news. Hooray. We have so much more to go through, so don't leave unless you just hate everything except for the news. Excuse me. Guys, why do I burp so much? What the heck? America, America, God shed his grace on thee. Never thought I'd see the day where Democrats advocate for the last name Cheney. True that. But again, it's not like we're siding with her just on everything. But if one individual leads one movement that wants to throw democracy out as a form of government, or at least challenge it to such an extent that it would no longer be of the level of integrity that it needs to be, then we'll take anyone who's willing to defend against that movement, for sure. Carol wants to see Biden in 2024. Wow. Patrick, I'm literally just begging you. Because here's the thing, Patrick. Do you believe that we shouldn't get in our own echo chambers? I hope you do. And that's an issue. And so me, as someone who genuinely believes in the concept of hearing other people's ideas, think it's important that I have those ideas expressed to me and have my audience hear them and hear how someone with my views interfaces with someone with your views. That's what's important. That's what we need to do in our country to get past some of this division. So you're the only person in my chat, it seems, at this moment who disagrees with me a lot. Like foundationally disagrees with me. I'm sure everyone disagrees on something with me, but about like reality. And so I would love to break down our echo chambers and have you express your ideas to me so that I can make sure I'm not in a media bubble, you know? I think that's so important. So if you're interested, I can send you my Discord. I think it'll be great. I promise I'll start out nice, as long as you don't like attack me. Only reason I'm not independent registered is because over 20 states cannot vote in primaries. You young people need to get that changed. Totally. Can't today, but soon. Okay, cool. Yeah. Just hop in the chat when I'm live every day, every weekday, 5 p.m. Eastern, except for holidays, including yesterday. As of now, if that ever changed, I'll let y'all know, which it might have to, starting in September, but maybe not. As of now, 5 p.m. Eastern. So anytime this week you want to hop in and let me know you're in the chat and we'll get something going. As I mentioned, tomorrow we have a really cool thing to do. Okay, Z King wanted to talk to me. I may have to end it, sort of. I typed Z King instead of Discord on my computer. Whoa. Hold up. Did I miss a super chat? That was so loud. Did y'all hear that notification? But after we talk to Z King, we have an insane, based on the clips I've seen from it, debate to watch. Even in more insane, have yet to hear an original thought from the chat or Luke. But tell me that. I want to hear. Why are you not doing this today? I want to talk so bad with you. Oh, cool. Yeah, I'll check out your thing on Discord. Why is my computer not letting me get in Discord lately? Like, if you feel like I'm so wrong, wouldn't you want to express that to me? That's so weird. If I was watching someone else's show and I like hated what they were saying and I put that in the chat and then they gave me an opportunity to say it to their face, I would be so happy. Because that's all I want. I just want them to hear the correct opinion. I don't want to just make noise. Okay, let me see. Yes, Salim, I will answer your questions soon. Okay, Z King, I'm calling you now. Oh, 1 sec. Okay, cool. No problem. Your destination will be determined by the 5 people you associate with, the books you read, the people we meet. We have 5 adult children who are self-supporting. 3 are business owners. Oh, good job. Gotcha, Doug. And that is the sense I get from people who do that. I will say, who was the person? Someone disagreed with me a bunch and then got on and talked with me about it. It was awesome. I was like, dang. Even though I disagree, you are respectable. All right, while we wait, let me answer. We have some questions. Let me throw them up on the screen so y'all can see them. But I'll put them so y'all can't see his username. In case he doesn't want you weirdos reaching out to him. Okay? Okay. So Salim, who we talked to a few days ago, just sent me a Discord message. We don't have any mods, guys, to anyone who... I'm not the beekeeper. I'm the queen bee, Patrick. Come on. You're so new. All right. This is from Salim. He said, "Hi, Luke. I hope you're doing well. I tried to super chat you a couple..." Why is this formatted so weird? What the heck? Here, wait. Let me take this away. Okay. There we go. I tried to super chat you a couple times, but it did not go through for some reason. I was wondering if you were interested in answering a couple questions. Yes. Okay. With the way America's headed now, Republicans sort of taking over, Democrats being lazy, gas prices, abortion, LGBTQ rights, setbacks, police violence, crazy shootings. Do you think the country... do you see the country going forward or backward? I'll answer that first. Do I see it going forward or backward? I think it's a little bit more nuanced than that. I think we're going forward and backwards simultaneously at the same time in many different areas. But generally, compared to other times in recent American history, I think we are going backwards for sure. Like if you take the sum of all the different issues, we're going too much backwards and more backwards than we are than we have been going forward in the past. Second, do you think mainstream gay media is or isn't making LGBTQ community members' lives harder in other countries for sticking stereotypical thoughts in homophobes' minds? Ooh. And by gay media, do you mean like representation of gay individuals in media? A lot of times they're like super flamboyant and I don't know. Making members' lives harder in other countries for sticking stereotypical thoughts in homophobes' minds. I'll put it this way. Homophobes are going to homophobe, right? So you either believe that people have a right and they have and should have the freedom to be in the relationships they want to be with as long as they're not harming someone else and love the people they want to love. Or you don't. So seeing like an extra flamboyant character in a TV show and like that's the only representation you have of gay people isn't going to make the difference, I don't believe. And I also don't think we're ever going to make progress by capitulating and only letting ourselves be known in a representation that is the most comfortable to all the people who hate us, right? So like, if you have the tendency to not want to support someone if they make you uncomfortable, then we shouldn't have to bend our representation to your will. Because it also wouldn't really be honest to only stick like really straight passing in there. That's such a weird statement, but like really, what even is the very stereotypically straight guys who are like mentioned on the side, I'm gay, but like it shouldn't make you uncomfortable because I'm super masculine or whatever. Or same with like really pretty girls who are super stereotypically straight in every single role, and they're like, I'm lesbian, by the way, huh? It's like, no, people come in all shapes and sizes. People come in all different representations, and so having that, whoa, okay, we're going insane over here at headquarters. So that's that, and now we have Z King on the line. What's up?
Hey, what's up? It's been a minute since we had a chat.
Yeah, I'm doing so good. If you were in my mind, you would have a euphoric overdose. How about you?
Yeah, I get that vibe from you. You always seem very somewhat at peace, usually, and the blue lighting helps as well. But I wanted to talk about the slavery thing, because when I first heard that, I remember, like, growing up, I heard people, I don't want to use the word fear-mongering, because now we're actually seeing something happen, but I heard people, talk about that, saying they're going to eventually try to say that, get to a point where you're almost comfortable saying that slavery either didn't happen or didn't happen the way that we thought it did. That really just brought up some concerns in my head. It's like, how do you even get to that point? That's what I don't understand. Because, well, first of all, just the terminology involuntary relocation, it doesn't really make sense, because how would they explain the life of the people that were enslaved? That's not considered relocation at that point, because there's generations of people living there. So what do you call that? It's slavery. I don't understand how that even works as a proposal, because just logically thinking about that, it's not even consistent with what would be taught. That's what I don't understand. Like, how do you propose something that makes no sense like that?
Right, totally. I don't know. And that's what, like, to me, it's weird that it's becoming totally acceptable to, like, propose ideas like that and not get laughed out of the room and be like, let's think about it. Let's take that very seriously. And it's like, yeah. I agree, because if the purpose of education is to educate, then using needlessly vague and not accurate language doesn't seem to be accomplishing that goal. Not to mention that it leaves like huge intellectual gaps in kids' brains, because eventually they're going to learn about slavery, and if they grew up being taught in a really incorrect way, it's going to be so hard for them to like catch up and understand the weight of it. And I remember actually specifically one of my school teachers, I am in Texas, so taught about the Civil War in like a really weird way, where she made way too often the point that it was about states' rights. It was about states' rights. And like, obviously many of the people within the Civil War on the South Side like did cite that as their reason, but putting the historical weight on like, hey, it was just people trying to protect the right for states to get to make individual decisions, takes away from the gravity of that situation. So I remember being really confused throughout a little bit of like early school, because I had that weird teacher. It was easy to resolve because my parents were smart, but for others, if like in even more inaccurate ways they're being taught, like involuntary relocation, then we're going to have a generation that's just, at least coming out of those specific Texas schools, that's just completely misinformed.
agree with that. It's kind of like that argument who usually the same people that propose, states' rights as the primary purpose. They'll usually, if you're from Texas, you'll know that Texas was one of the last states to actually end it. And they made a bunch of money off of the cotton and sugar industries. So people will propose, they did it for economic purposes, so they had to do what they had to do. It's like these justifications are just, they're just insane to me.
It's kind of like, to me, if someone was talking about a murder and they said okay, a husband murdered his wife. And if I said it like that, and they're like, no. A husband got mad at his wife and had a history of mental health and shot a gun at her head. But don't say he murdered. Don't say that. That's wrong. It's like, yes, we understand that part of the reason that slavery was protected and implemented then protected was because it was obviously really economically beneficial to have free labor. And obviously, once they had that big system set up, the South didn't want anyone intervening in their ability to brutalize people for that free labor. But that doesn't at all take away from how important it is to recognize what the outcome was, which the outcome was people being brutalized, people being owned as property and used for their labor. So it just, the arguments I hear in changing the way we talk about it just never make sense to me.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I find it so funny because, like you said, it's not defined who's proposing these changes, but I mean, you can only guess who. And the people that I'm thinking of, aren't these the same people that are complaining that academia is just so liberal and they're indoctrinating our children? And then they literally want to redefine history. It's like, how do you say that in the same breath? It's so funny.
Right.
This is a different situation I'm going to bring up, but it ties into the same hypocritical logic. Marjorie Taylor Greene, there was, I don't remember the exact article, but there was an article that came out. I don't know how true it is, but there was an article that came out stating that her and her husband invest in companies that they constantly demote because they support what they call, quote unquote, liberal agendas. Companies like Apple, Microsoft, these big corporations that a lot of them hate so much. And, they happen to have a nice chunk of stock in these companies that they're so fervently against. And I find that very interesting, how they want to demonize and promote themselves as, genuine people, but they're like, well, I got to make a buck, It's so funny that they want to tout themselves as someone who is really for the people and they really believe in their values, yet they go around and do things like that. They want to have it both ways. That's what I find very funny.
Totally. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I know that was one of the points I think I made. Oh, no. I think, yeah, I did. When I was covering the story is it couldn't be more contradictory for the same people who've been screaming that we have to keep up Confederate statues for the sake of not erasing history, to turn around and be like, but let's literally erase history. Take the books, remove them, put new textbooks that use the word or the two words involuntary relocation instead of slavery. And that to me, I think it's really hard to deprogram yourself out of deeply held beliefs. One of the ways that I think it can be done though is when you see such a blatant contradiction. And that's been a huge time when I've been oh wait, maybe I'm off on this because I noticed myself saying the exact opposite argument I was saying about this other thing in this other context. And so one of the things I always try to do is flip the script. What if this was a different person? So if I'm criticizing Trump, be what if this was, a progressive? Would I be making the same criticism? And with this, I don't see how Republicans and conservatives don't get struck by that hypocrisy kind of blaring alarm and change their view or recognize how contradictory you are. And that's when I start thinking maybe they don't really care. It's not about the consistency. It's not about having a logical set of values. It's about holding whatever beliefs and the quote unquote principles you want that just purely help you get where you want to go, instead of actually being something that you think would yield the best outcomes for the most amount of people, you know, or not necessarily, but like lead to a better America.
Something I want to point out about that, what you just said, is I think there's a dichotomy in that conversation. I think, like, the base of the people they're appealing to, there's this, like, persecution complex. So anything that counters reality is something out to get them. And They have a hard time believing it. And the establishment Republicans will espouse these ideas to confirm their existing biases. So then they'll be like, oh, they really are against me because so-and-so is telling me. I think that's what the relationship is, and that's why they grow stronger, because each part of that relationship is reciprocating. The Republican establishment is getting support from their base, and then the base feels like they're being heard because there's the persecution complex that the establishment is playing into.
Yeah, and that's a lot of what Trump did, is like...
exactly, yeah, that's why he resonated with so many people.
Right, yeah.
He was not... His whole brand is, I'm anti-establishment, and he did know how to speak to people. That's why a lot of people liked listening to him, and the whole, anti-establishment thing, that was a big reason why people wanted to hear him, and they were so, fervent about him.
Yeah, and I do think there's a piece of, you can only expect people to see the world from their perspective. And so I think we could have done better as progressives before Trump, and now we should do now, at making everyone feel spoken to. And I think a lot of because of a lot of our issues are disproportionately fall in the backs of certain groups. Yeah, exactly, Jared. Because these issues fall disproportionately, on certain groups, we end up talking a lot about those groups correctly. But then your average person will start feeling unheard if they're not really, really good at being empathetic and really, really good at seeing the world from kind of a broader third person perspective. And so I think speaking about poverty in a way that makes everyone in poverty feel heard, and speaking about these, they call them kitchen table issues, where everyone feels like we're speaking to you, could have prevented Trump a little bit, because all he did was hey, life's tough for you too, regular old white person.
Yeah.
And I'm here for you. Now, of course, there's the bigotry angle and of course all that type of stuff. But I do think a large portion of it, for example, a lot of people who flipped from voting for Obama to Trump, that was their thing, is they wanted to feel heard, they wanted to feel spoken to, and in some wild, crazy new way, Trump did that.
Yeah. I think actually doesn't Trump have one of the most diverse bases compared to previous Republican presidents?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he does.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah, Trump just knew how to reel him in. Now he has us thinking that the election was altered.
And do you think that he's genuinely strategic, or he just stumbled into doing the unprecedented stuff that he did with the voters he reached out to?
I don't know with him. At first, off the top of my head, I'm like, oh, this is just him being him. But then when you think about it, the whole idea of people calling it a coup, and him knowing how he interacts with his base and how they already are, it would be very strategic to play into that, because remember, the whole thing is anti-establishment. So now what he's doing is he's getting people to lose trust in the institution, and they already thought that. That's why they voted for him.
Mm-hmm.
So if he's playing into this and saying, look, they stole this from me, then that's just going to confirm their biases, because he's telling them that.
Yeah, it's interesting. Sorry, go for it.
No, go ahead. Oh yeah, I was going to say, internally, I don't know what he's thinking, but just based on how he is, it's hard to tell with him, because I personally feel like he's kind of he has some narcissistic tendencies, so I do feel like part of that is part of his personality, like genuinely. But part of me also feels like, because he's such a businessman, he has his interests. So it's like there's a dichotomy between where he is, maybe like smart in the sense that he knows how to pull the strings, but also like he's actually an egomaniac and he's like getting off to it.
Yeah, totally. He's definitely disturbingly narcissistic, and to an extent that it gets in the way. Like he would almost be undefeatable if he didn't step on his own, like, what's the phrase? I don't know. Shoot himself in the foot over and over. Because, for example, I think if he would stop talking about the election and like only rail against Biden, he would get so much more popular. But he can't stop talking about the election because he's such a narcissist, and like it hurts so bad that he lost. And so that's the only thing that gets in the way, but it's also the one thing that allowed him to do what he did and like be such a good marketer of himself and stuff like that. But then, oh gosh, what else did you say? Oh, it is interesting how like if you would, I don't think this is what happened, but if you were to have set up a situation where you planned from the very beginning of his race, like in 2015, that he was going to undermine like our democratic process, it would have all gone perfectly according to plan to set up the perfect chance for his base to be on board with that. Because like all he did in his entire presidency was tell his base that everyone's lying to you, all the media is lying to you, anything that is against me is fake news, all the institutions are against you and I, all the institutions are lying to you, etc., etc., etc. So then by the time you got to 2020, a claim that would be so outrageous, hey, you know how every single independent organization that's looked in the election says that it wasn't stolen? Well, believe me, it's stolen. Like that, most like political movements wouldn't believe their leader saying that with all of the abundance of evidence that's out there to the contrary, but he had set up a perfect situation where his followers would be on board with believing such an outrageous lie.
Yeah. I mean, you got people like Mike Lindell out there. I mean, like, it's insane how powerful his influence is. And something else I wanted to bring up is, like, I don't know if I feel confident saying this because my thought is not complete, but I'm just going to espouse it anyway.
Okay.
I feel like the Republican Party, don't they, like, need some of these institutions? Because typically in popular votes with citizens, it's a little more left-leaning.
Sorry, can you phrase what you just said? I completely zoned out.
Oh, yeah. No, I was saying, I feel like with the Republican Party, don't they need these institutions? Because typically on, like, popular polls, things are a little more left-leaning for citizens. And I feel like the Republicans were okay with Trump being a little erratic initially because this is one of the first presidents to really like constantly espouse that he is anti-establishment and that's his whole brand, and they love that. And everything is so hyper-political now with everybody being online more and more, and there's just like so much more information out there. They were like, yeah, this is good, this is working, and obviously it did work. He won. He has a huge loyal base, very loyal base. And now with these hearings being had, there's some things that are putting them in bad light, and they don't like that. So now they have to, kind of basically, quote unquote, play by the rules again. So they're like, oh crap, we can't let this happen because we actually kind of need these institutions, because without them, we can't really maintain power because we don't have popular authority in people's minds. Yeah. Because typically they're the minority when it comes to
it's like they need certain institutions, but having their base in the short term distrust others does sort of benefit them. But the Republican Party generally, no, it does. You're right. Like, part of why, as you're identifying, the Republican Party seems to be turning a little bit on Trump is because he's threatening the very system set up that helped the Republicans like stay in power.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure. All right,
they were like, oh, well, I eat the hand that feeds me.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Good way to put it. All right, I'm gonna have to let you go so we can watch this debate. But I absolutely love hearing your voice as always, and never feel shy to hop on with me.
Yeah, thank you.
Beautiful. Bye. Okay. Are you okay, Luke? I'm doing great. What's up? Do I look sad? I feel like I feel very happy today. Very sad about the news, but now that we've gotten past that, you know, we haven't gotten past that as a country. I'm saying, like, in the show today, we got past the tough news. So now I want to have fun. Okay? That was so, like, bishy. Okay. I want to have fun. Can someone confirm that my video quality looks better today? I feel like it looks so much better than it has recently. I fixed up some stuff. I feel like Patrick bolted, guys. I look fed up. No, I was so happy. I love talking to Z. He's awesome. I just have a straight face sometimes when I'm listening. If I have a crazy face, like when I was debating Doug, it means I'm not listening because I'm aggravated. If I'm like, what? But if I have a really straight face, it's because I'm just processing the information. Plus, I read the chat sometimes while I'm on those calls, and it takes a lot of mental power for me to read and hear, so then I'm like straight face. All right, don't forget, if you want to support the show, either join at patreon.com/Luke Beasley or send in a super chat, say something mean, nice, I don't really care as long as it comes along with some cha-ching. Just kidding. Quality looks good? Good. Looks fine. Ew. Jared, fine's not good enough. Dang it. I gotta keep trying. Okay. We have from the clips I've seen, I haven't pre-watched, unlike a lot of things. A lot of the things we watch, I don't pre-watch, but some of them I do. This one I haven't, and so I'm so excited to witness it for the first time with you. But the clips I've seen from it are insane. So we're going to watch the full Arizona GOP gubernatorial primary debate. And some insane moments came from it. Just unhinged stuff. So let's check that out. I'm so excited. Oh my gosh. Here we go.
Members of your PBS station, thank you.
Good evening and welcome to the special Election 2022 edition of Arizona Horizon. I'm Ted Simons. Tonight, in a debate sponsored by Clean Elections, your source for nonpartisan official election information, we feature a debate between the Republican candidates for Arizona governor. Now, this is not a formal debate. It's an open exchange of ideas.
$2. Sorry, why did I read that? That's so weird. Thank you so much for your super chat, Jared. You're amazing. And he said, let's see the shorts. The shorts? Oh, my gym shorts? That don't go along with my outfit? That's not cool. Fine. Since you send a super chat. Oh, wait. I still have the screen like this. Apologies. There you go. Cool. If you send a super chat, you can get me to do what you want, sort of, within reason.
It's an opportunity for give and take between candidates for one of the state's most important offices. As such, interjections, even interruptions, are allowed, provided that all sides get a fair shake, and we'll do our best to see that that happens. Before we begin, of note, the original agreement for tonight's debate was to have one moderator. Plans were later changed to add a second moderator, but the campaigns were not notified of the change until less than 24 hours ago. In the interest of fairness, we decided to honor the original agreement. Let's get things started. Candidates will give opening statements in a randomly selected order and will give closing statements in the opposite order. Joining us now for tonight's debate in order
I'm getting
of
hyped.
Businessman Scott Neely, businesswoman Paula Tuliani-Zen, former television anchor Carrie Lake, and former member of the Arizona Board of Regents, Karen Taylor Robeson. Earlier, we picked numbers to determine the order of opening statements. Closing statements will again go in reverse order. We start with Scott Neely.
Hi, how you doing? My name's Scott Neely. I'm the candidate for Arizona Governor.
Audio levels are too low. What Why? This is all the way maxed out. Let me make sure my desktop audio is... Yep, all the way maxed out. Oh. I don't know what to do about that. Sorry.
You may not have heard of. I entered the race late on January the 19th because I had contractual obligations. I was busy finishing the cell phone tower contracts I had so that I could keep your news media here in this studio running on new technology. So anyway, I've been in business for 17 years. I'm the candidate who's actually been working on the border wall in multiple sections of the border wall. I've worked Yuma, Nogales, Douglas, Welton, Dateland, you name it. I've worked on that border wall for years. And when I become your next Arizona governor, I will be the guy that finishes the wall. I know where the steel is. It's sitting at Stinger Steel in Coolidge. And I'm willing to jump in a semi-truck and drive that steel to the wall myself if that's what it takes to get the wall started again and get it done and finished. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. And now we turn to Paola Tuliani-Zen.
Hello, I'm Paola Tuliani-Zen. I'm an immigrant from Italy, so my name is Italian Zen. Why am I running for governor? Well, first of all, I want to thank you for giving me a seat at the table. How about that? I finally got a seat at the table.
Do I need to get the browser extension? Y'all think that's necessary? Let's see. YouTube. Browser extension. Volume booster. Here we go. I got it. Got it. Okay. Downloading. You know what I do for you guys? It's crazy. I go as far as to download an extension. That's love right there. Let's read some comments before. Yeah, you guys are right. You're right. I'm on board. One sec. Okay. Now how do I use the extension? It's downloaded. This is weird. Extensions. Let me see it. Boom. Okay, here we go. Tell me.
Why am I running for governor? Well, you look at what's happening to our country, our government. And every time I looked at something, news, I would say, you know, I could fix this. Oh my God, what are they doing?
Wait. Hold up. Why is this not working? One sec. Give me a sec. Let me try it on this one.
Stupidity. Inept. Or is it planned?
It's maxed out.
You know what? I want to step in. I'm a business person and we need to run it like a business. Enough is enough.
Does that make it louder for y'all? Did I just like blow your ears off, or is it not working? Let me know. Refresh. Okay. Here. Hold up. Is this a joke? What? Is what a joke? Yeah, right. These people are crazy. It's gonna get really good. So just hold on. We're gonna get this sorted out, and then we're gonna have an absolute blast. Let's see.
Enough. So that's why I'm running for governor. And it's time that people take a good look of who they're going to get as their governor.
All right, thank you very much. For our next opening statement, Carrie Lake.
Hello, Arizona. It's so good to be back in your home.
It's not working.
Thank you for welcoming us tonight. I had the blessing to cover this great state for 27 years as a fair journalist.
I think I downloaded the wrong one. Here, I think I could do this on screen. Make sure I'm doing the right one. Download YouTube volume increase extension. Not my video views. Is this it? Volume scroll? Is this it? Y'all's chats are so delayed, so you're not gonna help me. We'll just try out a couple. Whoops. Watch for that. Extensions. Okay, there we go. Now, refresh. Go to a new thing. Library.
As a fair journalist, I walked away from my career and the people of Arizona recruited me to be governor. And I'm running for governor now to fix some of the issues we've had. For those 27 years covering Arizona, we've had some of the same issues, and they haven't been fixed. Under President Trump, who I'm so honored has endorsed me, we had the most secure border we've ever seen. On day one, President Joe Biden pulled back that policy
not doing
and
anything.
exposed us to a criminal element, to dangerous drugs that are killing our young people. And he's taken away our ability to protect our
It's still
own state.
wrong.
When I'm governor, we're going to come back and
Enhancer for YouTube. Extension. Oh wait, I don't. Whoa. That works actually. Okay. Oh, it's not just for volume. Gotcha. Here we go. Now we're cooking with grease. Here we go.
as a fair journalist.
Whoa.
I walked away from my career and the people of Arizona recruited me to be governor. And I'm running for governor now to fix some of the issues we've had. For those 27 years covering Arizona, we've had some of the same issues.
Whoa.
And they haven't been fixed. Under President
That's better. Hooray. All right, I'm happy everyone's still here. Now we can watch.
President Trump, who I'm so honored has endorsed
Is that too
me,
loud?
we had the most secure border we've ever seen. On day one, President Joe Biden pulled back that policy and exposed us to a criminal element, to dangerous drugs that are killing our young people. And he's taken away our ability to protect our own state. When I'm governor, we're going to come back and we're going to protect our border. We're going to secure our border, and we're going to make sure that our kids are learning a decent curriculum and that they're also safe at school. I ask for your vote, and I look forward to the debate.
All right, thank you very much. And for our final opening statement, we turn to Karen Taylor Robeson.
Hi, I'm running for governor because Arizona is under attack from the cartels at our southern
Oh, this is gonna be good.
border to the liberals and Joe Biden in Washington, D.C. Arizonans are hurting from inflation. We feel it every time we go to the grocery store and fill up our gas tank. And we are tired of our children being indoctrinated in our schools. I've lived my whole
We
life.
just covered the story where they want to replace the word slavery with involuntary relocation. This is the right, of course. And we're the ones who want to indoctrinate. Okay.
Life in Arizona. I built my business, raised my family, and I've created jobs. I get results. We need a conservative fighter. We need a leader with a record of accomplishment, not a career talker with a teleprompter. My life is an open book. I worked for Ronald Reagan. I've supported pro-life causes.
Also, how is I don't know why people think that just because you successfully or somewhat successfully ran a business, you're qualified now, or that gives you the necessary experience, or that's so impressive to an extent where you can run a government. Like, it's so different. I don't know. Like, legislating and running a business, it's good to have knowledge about the economy and businesses, and great if you ran a business. But they act like ever since Trump, and even before that, there were people who did this. I ran a business successfully, so now I can run the country. It's like, a little different.
I've fought cancel culture, and I will defend the Second Amendment. These are serious times. We need a serious candidate with a record of accomplishment. I'm Karen Taylor Robeson, and I ask for your support.
Candidates, thank you very much. Let's get things started. Carrie, we'll start with you. Everyone here, actually, you want to succeed a Republican governor, 2 terms in office. How would you improve on the last 8 years?
I think Doug Ducey's done some great things.
Patrick, you're not banned. I can see you.
I mean, we've got a great economy right now, although we're slipping into a recession. Unfortunately, we had a business owner, I guess he was a CEO of an ice cream company who came in, and we expected him to lead like a business owner. And unfortunately, during COVID, he shut our businesses down. He shut our churches down, and he shut our schools down. And he put masks on our children, and I find that unacceptable. And so I would never shut your business down. You don't have to be a business owner or a CEO to know that you don't take somebody's livelihood away. When we needed a strong leader during COVID, I didn't see a strong leader in our governor's office, and unfortunately, people suffered because of that.
If there's a health pandemic and health officials are saying, for now, we need to have masks, we need to shut things down, you would say?
I think initially everybody was on board, 15 days to slow the spread. We were all very nervous about it. I was covering it. But eventually we realized that this is destroying our economy, hurting people, and we didn't need to have those masks. We did not need to wear masks all the way into the summer. And there's other people here on this stage who on Board of Regents had an opportunity to vote our children out of those masks.
Wait a second,
didn't have
Ted,
to wear
that
the
is
masks.
a lie. Ted,
did not,
that is a lie.
Arizona Board of Regents
Fake
record.
Lake.
Arizona Board of Regents.
Fake Lake, that's a lie.
Let her finish, and then you're going.
It's funny. The whole like making up silly nicknames thing too is such a Trump inspired thing. They all want to be little mini Trumps.
Right to you.
Okay.
She misses all of the debates, and she now comes and wants to interrupt. I'm happy to talk, but I would like to...
Quickly, please.
There's been 9 that she hasn't showed up at.
When she has an opportunity to vote...
There's been 9 she hasn't showed up for? How many debates do they do? Jeez.
To get our kids out of masks and prevent them from getting the vaccines. 115 degrees. Our college students had to wear masks because she sat the vote out, and she's a coward. And we need somebody who's strong.
All right, you're up.
Well, that is an absolute lie. Unlike Carrie Lake and Nancy
Wait a minute,
Pelosi,
you didn't
I
vote.
will
You gotta
not.
let her finish,
she didn't
I
vote.
will
You gotta let
not
her finish.
vote on anything that I don't read. I won't. I am against mask mandates and COVID vaccine mandates.
why
I have
didn't you
said
vote
that
to protect
all
our
along.
children?
Because I will not vote on anything that I have
It's
not
pretty
read.
obvious that you don't want to give them shots.
Do you think that the governor handled the COVID epidemic correctly?
You know,
Hold on, Paula.
In hindsight, when you see that he angered as many people on the left as the right, he probably got it just about right. And from an economic standpoint, Arizona's economy has come roaring back. That's why so many people are moving here. So we have recovered from the pandemic faster than most other states.
If I'm going to be called Fake Lake, I'd like to respond to that.
Okay, respond please, quickly.
First of all, you can go to my website, carrielake.com, and you can see exactly how Karen has voted. We
Absolutely.
put her Arizona Board of Regents.
Please do.
It's funny how they're just going after each other's jugulars instantly. Let me see if I can find polling. Maybe they're the 2 top people.
Her record there.
Okay.
She's voted pro-abortion.
That is not
She has
true.
voted. She's against the Second Amendment. This is right there in.
Those are issues we're going to get to those. I promise you.
But I'm not going to be called fake if I'm telling the truth here.
All right.
Well, she's not telling the truth.
When she did not vote our children out of masks.
I am 100% pro-life.
Let's
I always
hold
have
on with
been,
the
and I
fake
always
lake.
will be.
Hold on with the fake lake and hold on.
You
with
know
the
what? We
response
do need. She's right. We do need somebody who's a grown-up, and somebody who calls names is not a grown-up.
All right, Paula. I'm going to ask you.
Someone who calls names is not a grown-up, but I'm proud to be endorsed by Donald Trump.
I think the original question was something along the lines of how would you improve in the last 8 years? How would you improve?
Improve. Yes. Obviously, I would not have shut down the businesses. And you know what? We all panicked the first.
Okay, this is an interesting poll. Let's see. So, it looks like that's why they're going after each other. They're between the front runners. Hobbs. Wait. Who's Hobbs? Oh, here we go. Lake, and I'm guessing Robson was the other person. So the Carrie Lake is in the lead, so that's why Hobbs is Robson's trying to go after her. That would make sense. Let's confirm that Robson was the other lady, but that looks right.
3-4 months, and we did what they told us to do. But you know,
yeah, it is, because we just saw her name. Cool.
After that, when science comes out, we should have had a choice. And when you talk about masks on children, little children, that's what I disagree with. You know, I'm not that much concerned about the kids going to college. They're going in air conditioning. All right? They have a car, they go to the building. The little kids are a problem. We're keeping that bacteria right in their face. It went to an extreme. And you know what? He should have.
That's not how. The fact that we're this far out of the pandemic and people still don't know how masks work. it's funny too, like when people say, oh, we just found out masks like make it to where you can't breathe and you get lung cancer and you get all these back. It's like, you do realize that certain, nurses have been wearing masks all the time since forever, and they turn out fine. Clearly, it doesn't inhibit your breathing to such an extent that it would cause any harm whatsoever. And then the bacteria, it's like, no, it doesn't hold the bacteria to your face. It keeps it from getting into your mouth, or the virus. Hey Luke, I'm watching you and Pac, and at the same time, and you were just covering the same video at the same time, lol, but I'm sticking with you. Sweet, that is hilarious. I didn't know he was live streaming. Thank you so much for the super chat, Larry. You're amazing. Much love.
He should have, how did you say, get rid of the mandate a lot sooner. He did it a few months ago. Why? Because he was backed up into a corner. That's why. Because we have health providers that don't want to go to work.
He didn't have the strength. He didn't have the strength.
Scott needs to get into this. Scott, please.
I'm in. So the question is, am I against mass mandates?
No, the question is,
thank you so much for the super chat.
8 years, you're a Republican, he's a Republican.
My bad. I'm checking the feed to make sure the video looks good.
So here's the thing. What he did was totally wrong. All he did was help the oligarchs. He helped Walmart, Amazon, Lowe's, Home Depot, and all the biggest companies to grow their businesses during a pandemic. Their stocks went through the roof. They made tons of money.
Think it was intentional?
It was intentional. Absolutely intentional. They closed my business down. But you know what? I didn't listen. I kept it open. I did what I wanted to do. I challenged the EPA to come in my business and shut me down, and they didn't come in. They didn't shut me down. You didn't have to listen, people. You didn't have to listen.
Yeah, but you want to be governor of Arizona, and you've got health experts telling you to do.
What? That's a horrible message. Listen, when guidelines or mandates are put in place that are completely reasonable, don't follow them.
Listen, we don't mind the 14 days to slow the spread.
Y, and Z. Do you not follow the advice of experts?
You follow the advice of the 14 days to slow the spread. That I was on board with. But once we...
Oh my gosh. I can't do this. I feel like we've litigated all of this already. I can't teach you what happened during the peak of the pandemic. First of all, 14 days to slow the spread. We literally were just figuring it out. You start learning more, you have to change. But also, you little boobies weren't, and by that I mean, dummies, nothing in relation to women, weren't encouraging your followers to take all the necessary precautions. So, yeah, we didn't slow the spread. So the thing wasn't effective. But also, things change in an unprecedented pandemic, and you have to change your response to it.
Got past 14 days, and once I realized using these masks on a job site didn't even keep concrete dust or shotcrete dust out of my mask, how could it scientifically keep a small bacterial virus
and we knew that
out of my mask?
We knew that masks didn't work.
They don't work. They don't keep dust out. They're not going to keep a virus out that's microscopic.
And you're asking about what Governor Ducey should have done when he had...
Guys, this is pitiful. No, it doesn't work 100% of the time, but it is proven to make it much less likely that the virus is able to go through, because you're going like this. So the virus is going to be like tink, tink, and hopefully it won't go through the, thingamajig. It's not 100%, but it's helpful. Especially good masks are really, really helpful, like KN95s and stuff. This is pitiful. This is so aggravating.
A medical expert, the director of our health
other experts
services.
as well, not just one.
He didn't have the backbone to do it.
Exactly.
Okay, that's it.
The other thing is, though,
hold on, do you agree that the current governor didn't have the backbone to do what was best for Arizona?
That's right. It's
Absolutely.
all about money.
Hold on.
He had the backbone to do what was good for the big businesses.
Hold on. Karen, do you believe he did not have the backbone?
We're all sitting here with the benefit of being a Monday morning quarterback. What I'm saying is Arizona's economy has come roaring back from the pandemic.
Actually,
it's
no, it hasn't. You know what? When you're a billionaire, living in a mansion, everything looks bright and shiny and good.
And it's nice that you're my neighbor, Carrie.
People have. I live in a townhome. People have lost their businesses. They're never going to come back from that. They put their life savings into it. And we need somebody who knows the
I
importance.
love this. I love spicy debates. I love it.
That I grew up the youngest of 9. I had to work for everything I ever had. I built my career to cover this state. And I understand the value of a dollar. I'm not somebody who just throws away money like my opponent, who's throwing more money into this
wait
race
a second.
for a vanity project.
I started my
I want to
career.
get this is a vanity.
I'm ready to start my career at
vanity
25 cents an hour. That's when I got on the ladder.
All right.
We all have worked my entire life.
We all have a history. We all have had struggles. But now that's why we're running to be governor.
To
because
help
we
people.
all,
Right.
That's right. We know how to overcome obstacles. And
That's
we've
right.
done it and we have won. And we need to win for Arizona.
Do you think, I'm going to ask a question individually, and hopefully we'll get complete answers
Yeah, it's okay.
here. And we'll start with you, Paula, since
Yes.
you're anxious to talk.
Salim, if there could be such a requirement, that would be wonderful. Salim suggested there should be a requirement for politicians to make sure they're not completely brain dead. Yeah, that would be helpful.
Do you think Republican
Yeah, a $1 million townhome, exactly.
voters look on the Ducey 8 years as a problem, as something that went wrong? What do Republican voters want from the next governor?
Well,
Something different?
First of all, you know, we talk about transparency. Do we ever have it? We don't know. Everything's hidden. We've got to let people know what's happening in our government. We've got to move things a lot faster in our government.
I don't agree with an $18 billion budget. That thing's
Okay,
bloated.
let me have my turn, please. Okay, $18 billion budget is right. That was not vetoed. How did we grow from $12 billion to $18 billion during these times?
The governor's office and supporters of the governor, and a lot of Republicans would say you got there because of growth policies put in place by the governor and the legislature. Are they wrong?
Well, what do you mean growth? From who?
Policies.
Policy.
Growth policies.
Now they're spending money
they're
like
spending
drunken
money.
rhino sailors.
You know, the more money you take, you have to spend it all. Look, we're going to hit tough times. And we've got to see that. We've got a homeless problem. We have a lot of problems in the state.
Okay.
We've got to look at our
Can I
social
address
services.
the budget real quick?
Very
because
quickly,
it was a
please.
bipartisan budget, and there's a lot in there that people aren't happy about. We did get some good things in that budget. We got $50 million to secure our schools so our kids don't get shot.
We did get $544 million for the border wall, which
We
I
also
agree
got
with.
$1 billion
I agree with that a lot.
we also got $1 billion for roads and bridges. We need that. And when I'm governor, I'm going to make sure rural Arizona gets some of that money.
Yep.
We also got $500 million for a border wall, and I hope to put you to work building that wall.
Scott,
We're going to start it.
Yeah,
I might
but
be
the
putting you to
answer-
work to be
The
able to.
question, Scott, is
I'm going to give you a hammer and some nails and say, go on, boy.
Republican, this is a Republican primary, and folks voting in the Republican primary,
What-
are they going to want something radically different than what they've seen
Yeah,
in the
I'll
past?
tell you-
No, Paula,
Oh.
for the past 8 years, Scott. What do you
Yes,
think?
they want something radically
Yes.
different. You know what they want? Doug Ducey was an elitist, okay? He was an elitist. Okay, he's a wealthy man, an elitist. He's got a background. He's an elitist. He was installed as
Did you notice that I said the word elitist? He's an elitist. He's an elitist who's really elite because he's an elitist. Also, you don't have a place as someone who probably wants your viewers to think that you're, pro-Trump. You don't have a place to say that he's an elitist because he's wealthy. We do as progressives because we actually have an issue with people who are out of touch because they're wealthy. But your guy is like, supposed to be a billionaire, so.
the CEO of Cold Stone, okay? No offense, but everybody on this stage is an elitist. What we need is a middle-class candidate for governor who has a street view of what's
I think you're supposed to say everyone on the stage except for me because you're on the stage, bro.
going on. Not an elite view from an ivory tower. I'm sorry, but you all live in ivory towers. I don't.
Okay.
All right,
I
Karen,
don't.
I need
really
for you to
don't,
respond to
actually.
this. I mean, I'm hearing a Republican
exception with
forum
that.
of people
Well, you've got a few million
not
in your war
happy
chest.
with
I
the
don't.
last 8 years of a Republican governor. What do you make of that? Do you agree with that?
What Arizona wants is opportunity. That means a low tax, low regulatory environment. And when I'm governor, that's what we will have.
The
that what
we
you
now
elites
guys
have
have,
not
what we
created
now
a
have?
low-tax,
We now
low-regulatory
have-
environment
Scott,
for
please.
people.
Please,
we
Scott.
now have the lowest flat tax in the nation, courtesy of our Republican majorities in the House and Senate. We have the lowest flat tax in the nation. We have our regulatory environment. I would always push against the bureaucratic inertia of regulation. I would always push against that. And when I'm governor, we will. We will roll back regulations. We will get rid of regulations we don't need.
Which ones?
We've got any number. We can.
That flat tax is one layer of tax. We have so many layers of tax that we don't even know where they're all at.
I want to get back to
unbelievable.
Karen. So your response is that
the flat tax thing makes me want to find the center of my brain, tie a really thin but strong piece of wire to it, and yank my brain out of my ear. A flat tax would mean that someone making, $10,000 a year has to pay the same taxes as someone paying or someone making $2 billion per year. Now, let's just think, okay? Why is that a bad idea? We're going to do a little crash course here. Everyone think to themselves, why is that a bad idea? Okay, well, let's say the flat tax rate is 20%, okay? Someone who makes $10,000 per year, or for the sake of easy math, let's say $12,000 per year, is paying 20%, and so is someone making $12 billion per year, okay? Think to yourself if you had $1,000 per month because you're making $12,000 per year. How meaningful and how much of an impact does 20% of that $1,000 mean to you? That means instead of having $1,000 per month, you now have $800 per month. That's a big difference. That's the difference between if you eat or not. One week. I mean, you are already 12 grand per year is like, probably aren't eating, but you get the point. Easy math. Okay. So probably your taxes should be lower. But if you make $12 billion per year, how much is 20% going to affect your life per month? It's not. Having $800 million per month is no difference than $1 billion per month in your way of life. So you can afford to pay 40% per month, 50%. And still, $500 million per month is not going to change your lifestyle unless you really, really wanted a mega yacht that month. Does that make sense? When they say flat tax, they try to appeal to people's longing for simplicity, but it makes no sense because you ruin someone's life if you take 20% of their $1,000 they got that month. You don't even, the person doesn't even notice who has $1 billion per month if you take 20% of that. Okay. So those are the two extremes. Obviously, makes the point in your head, and now you understand why it needs to be different for different people, for different income brackets. Okay. Back to this.
you would not be radically different from what we've seen in the past 8 years. Different, yes. Radically different, no.
We are going to make Arizona the small business capital of this country, and that means we have to have a low tax.
Because she's okay with small businesses being shut down, as she just said.
I am a small business owner.
She's okay with.
Actually, your husband's a billionaire. Ed Robson owns Robson Resort Communities.
That's right.
That is not a small business.
Okay, but first of all, we're talking.
I have.
Okay, everyone.
She's okay with small businesses being shut down.
Everyone, hold on for a second. We encourage interjection
and I have never said that.
But we've got to have some semblance of order.
Roll back the tape. She just said that.
Please.
He's a good host.
A small business owner.
I asked you a question.
Or moderator.
I didn't get a response from you. Would you?
What do you mean?
Scott,
that's not
please.
true.
You're not a small. You're worth millions of dollars. That's not a small business.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Like Trump said, do we want people in office that have not made money, or do we want people that are broke? Are they going to make money for you?
I have had a 30-year.
I
have had a 30-year successful career.
No, you still need to.
As a working woman, I have built my businesses. I've created jobs. I've gotten results. That's what I've done.
The same.
And Scott, I'm going to ask you not to interrupt for just 1 second. I'm asking you the same question I asked before. Would you be radically different than the previous 8 years?
I will make sure that Arizona has a pro-business environment so that every Arizonan has the opportunity.
Is that radically different than what we've seen?
I don't believe it is. I believe Arizonans want an opportunity. Every single American, every single Arizonan wants an opportunity to succeed, and that means getting government out of the way. That means having a low tax, low regulatory environment so anybody who wants to work hard can succeed.
Okay, panel, we're going to move on, and we're going to move on. This would be a beauty here.
Yeah.
Kerry, we'll start with you. You've called Joe Biden an illegitimate president. What does that mean?
He lost the election and he shouldn't be in the White House. We had a corrupt election. I'd actually like to ask everybody on this stage if they would agree we had a corrupt, stolen election. Raise your hand. Did we have? It's a simple
I would
question.
like to. I'm not going to play your stunt.
Well, let me.
This is so sad. We live in a country where 4 gubernatorial candidates on a stage get asked if the last election, based on 0 evidence, was stolen, and they all raise their hands and say yes. Or sorry, 3 out of the 4 raise their hands and say yes. That's crazy.
Finish answering then. Finish answering.
Okay, instead of everyone raising,
you want to know why?
If everyone raising their hands, I want to know why you think that the election was either rigged, stolen, or whatever the phrase might be.
It was corrupt and stolen.
Corrupt and stolen, whatever.
I've looked at the evidence. We did a forensic audit.
Why have you looked at the evidence and the courts
turn it over to the authorities?
The courts haven't had a chance to look at the evidence because they haven't found sustainable and substantive
and turn it in.
Evidence.
You should turn it in.
We have evidence. I know you don't believe that our election is.
Yeah. Okay. All these people say they've seen the evidence. Okay, show it and present it to some official body. Darn it.
Stolen, Karen.
I believe our
there's a
election
reason,
was absolutely not
There's a
fair.
reason that the
And
people who
I'll
want
tell
to
you why.
There's a reason that the people who want to see election integrity are endorsing it.
I
I just got the endorsement of Dinesh D'Souza. I've got the endorsement of all the America First people.
And I'm the only gubernatorial candidate who supports election integrity in the state of Arizona. I signed the election integrity at the election integrity declaration at the state capitol. I'm in support of HB 2289. I don't see anybody in here supporting it.
All right, I want to go back. I want to go back, Kerry. The governor, the attorney general, speaker of the House, the U.S. attorney general, none of these people agree with the U.S. attorney general, William Barr, who says he would vote for Donald Trump again. He says that the 2000 Mules film shows nothing. There is no evidence.
Have you seen it? Have
it
you
doesn't
seen
matter
it?
if I've seen it.
But I'm curious because it shows a lot. It shows
William
a lot.
Barr, the attorney.
We went through. Can I watch that on? It'd be fun to debunk it on stream. It's probably copyrighted though. But I went through the bullet points with y'all about why it's absurd.
The general says there's nothing there. At what point do you think Republican voters are going to say, "Let it go"?
I think it's the #1 issue. The reason that we have, and if I can finish, I would appreciate it. The reason that we have a border that is wide open, we have fentanyl pouring in, killing our young people. We have people pouring across the border. We have an invasion on our border. The reason we have children being smuggled and trafficked and adults being trafficked across this country. The reason we have inflation, the sky high inflation, and can't afford our gasoline, can't afford our groceries, is because we had a rigged.
Doug says, wonder if Luke is always about the gosh darn it's and dangs. I'm ready to drop some F-bombs. Where's my gin? Go for it. Y'all know my thing. I'm just on the show, I just don't feel like that's necessary. Because one is I have a suspicion that I feel like the more official you are, like the more in your presentation, the more YouTube will suggest you. Because I've seen like some of the channels that really got brutalized recently and in their algorithm stuff, like do swear a lot. So that's my suspicion. So that's part of it. And then the other reason is just like, so if anyone comes across, some percentage of people don't like that type of language. So like if anyone comes across my content, they're comfortable, you know?
Stolen election. The facts are there. The forensic audit proves it. 740,000 ballots that did not have a chain of custody, cannot be authenticated, and yet were counted. They should not have been counted.
Why can't that information be submitted as evidence
It
in
is,
the court of
and
law?
our AG has the evidence. He's failing to act.
Why is he failing to do that?
I think because he thinks he can get away with it.
Why would he think that? Why would he think that?
Because we have a lot of people who are part of the corruption. They watched a corrupt election happen, and then they certified a corrupt election. And that's the problem.
You would not have certified our election?
No, I would not have.
Karen, would you have certified our election?
I didn't.
Isn't it awesome on a stage for it to be completely acceptable for a governor to proclaim she's against democracy? Hi, I'm running in a democratic process to be your governor, and I hate democracy.
I have the evidence in front of me. I'm a
course you
lawyer.
would.
I wouldn't act. It's like acting on a piece of legislation that I haven't read.
So-
I wasn't sitting there. I was not privy to the information.
She's
that the
a
governor-
lawyer.
that the governor was submitted. But I'll tell you why I believe the elections weren't fair.
But 2,000 mules though.
When you look at what liberal judges did across this country to usher in new rules and new laws in the days and weeks and months before the election, you look at the media suppressing the news. I don't need to say anything more than Hunter Biden, or big tech suppressing or silencing conservative voices. And then Mark Zuckerberg, who spent $470 million in precincts across this country to increase voter turnout in heavily Democrat precincts, right? Including here in Arizona. All of those things together led to 78% of Arizona Republicans thinking something was wrong with the election. But I am focused on 2022 because the left is 10 steps ahead of us. And I don't have the time to explain what they're doing, what we know they're doing for 2022.
Okay, I heard
but
you say.
I am going to do everything I can to win this election.
Oh, I hate this so much.
So that Arizona is in Republican hands for the 2024 election when we can take back the White House.
It's different.
Unfair,
it's different.
but unfair is, hold on please, unfair is different than rigged, stolen, and illegitimate.
I am not going to be in the cul-de-sac that the left wants us to be. They want us to be on the 2020
So you're not willing to say that the election wasn't rigged?
I am willing
Listen,
to tell you.
there's election fraud
It's
on
very
many layers.
obvious. Let me just say something. It's very obvious that Karen is controlled by her consultants, high-paid McCain consultants. This election is about, are we going to go forward?
I am not
controlled
by
We, the people,
anybody.
in control of our destiny?
Well, that's the whole,
Listen, we have election fraud right now going on.
Let's get Paula,
you know what? We are beating a dead horse. Right now, we've got a lot to do. You know, we've got to protect this election. And what precautions have we taken to protect this?
We haven't taken any.
You're right.
I know there's a lot of volunteers.
And it will never happen.
HB 2289.
Hold on, let her finish, please, Scott.
She's like a school teacher. She thinks just putting up a finger will get everyone. I'll wait. Yep. This is your time, not mine. You're just chewing into your recess.
Okay. God, they talk over me, and I'm Italian. That shouldn't happen. You know what?
I'm Irish.
Okay. You know what? We should have worked this year to take precaution on this new election.
So good.
And further. Okay, we haven't. We have volunteers that are going in. Why not get high-tech people that are going to be on the machine that are Republicans, a Democrat?
I will say, this is really cute. Like, I'm going to start wearing flowers. Legitimately, I'm not even being facetious. Like, putting flowers randomly, I love, like, when they're in people's hair or on their clothing. It's kind of dope.
Get supervisors equal amount.
That happens. We have parties looking over
that's
election
right.
results.
They're doing it now.
No,
they're actually telling people, Ted, you don't even realize this. They're telling people
election.
who are signing up to be election watchers, if you believe in election fraud, we don't want you in here. A lot of people believe in election fraud. They were down there at the forensic audit site.
Believing in election fraud is one thing.
Ted.
But
They saw it.
if
They saw it with their own
they
eyes.
should have reported it, and there should be criminal prosecution.
Sir,
there hasn't been any.
100,000 hours of volunteer work at the forensic audit. People saw these ballots.
Yes, and what happened with the forensic audit, you little... Guess what happened? Biden's election was certified, and then they realized he got more votes than they had previously understood. God.
They saw the problems. 34,000.
What forensic audit? I don't even... Okay, your little... Whatever they were called, election ninjas, I think it was something like that. They were a conservative weirdo group, and they still found that Biden won by more. Jared asks, who's going to super chat Luke so he can buy a homecoming mum to wear during live streams? True. Send it in. Actually... Oh my gosh, I think I might have one from... I could probably get one for my sister. Interesting.
1,000 ballots were counted 2, 3, and 4 times. We had major election fraud. 200,000 minimum ballots were trafficked by mules. This is why people...
But Carrie, you're part of the election fraud going on in the Republican primary as we speak right now. I mean, you're being propped up and supported by Kelly Ward and the AZ GOP, and during a primary, a GOP chair is not supposed to get behind one candidate,
I don't
but
think
she's
she
got
has.
behind you
No,
solely.
she hasn't.
Blake Masters.
Oh, she has.
Oh, yes,
Kelly
she has.
Cooper.
She has.
I have
She's
not
picked
had
her
Pam
America
Kirby.
First award-winning team. Abe Hamaday.
I am America.
I've gotten your name before, but Penn Sylvester. Great to have you back. I know, I think like a lot of people who usually watch my stream at this time are watching Pac-Man, so he needs to wrap it up. Someone should send him a super chat and say when you end, tell people to go to my stream. Nice. Mod you? What's up, Mason? I don't feel like I've interacted with you enough to mod you, but I could after a while. But Patrick did leave, yes.
Whether they're good and whether they're
You're
good
right.
candidates or not, you cannot legally, as an AZ GOP chair, get behind your favorite candidates for
Yes, I will wear an Easter bonnet for sure.
office. Even Ron
Wait, what? Sylvester? Oh, shoot. My bad.
McDaniel said that. You can't do that. It's not legal.
I have not received her endorsement. Thank you.
Well,
I'm
you
America
with
First,
you.
and I'm
You
the
don't
only
tweet your
America
stuff.
First candidate
Pam
up
Kirby
here.
is at your press conferences.
Listen, I have a
It's pretty
lawsuit going
obvious.
against Kelly Ward and the AZ GOP because of what she's doing.
Well, that's between you and the AZGP.
Last question on this.
She acts like she's your
But if
campaign
you're
manager.
gonna
discuss.
Ted, I think you've lost control.
integrity, you have
You
to
guys can discuss. I'm going to ask over here.
I love, and by love I mean hate, but also love, the lake person. She's so like intimidating. She turns, she's like, gives him that dirty look. Love it.
Last question here. Do you think Republican voters want to go once again
Thank you, Kevin.
over all of these things between mules and
No, they
rumors
don't.
and
They
innuendo?
don't.
Do they
You know
want
what they
this?
want?
No,
An honest
because- May
election.
I finish? Mamma mia. You know what? We've got to get on with it. We've got a lot of problems coming our way. Inflation, number one.
Okay.
The border. We have a lot, and we're still stuck on this, and we have done nothing about it. You know what?
All right, Karen, I'm
Don't
going to
worry,
move
we're
because I want
going
to
to
move on
fix it,
too.
and we're going to do
Karen,
something about it when I'm
Do
governor.
Republican voters want to hear more about the 2020 election?
Republican voters now are worried about putting food on their table and gas in their gas tank. They're worried about the border. They're worried about safety and security. That's what I hear from voters
Okay,
all
so
across
stop
this.
the emphasis on 2020.
We need to win in 2022.
Yes, stop talking about
Scott,
it.
stop the emphasis on 2020. What do you think? Is that what Republican voters want?
How about we talk about solutions for our own state going forward?
For our
how about we do that?
businesses. Lack of
Thank you, Scott. I appreciate
Okay. That's me vomiting. Guys, I hate when people talk. No, there's just water in here, guys. Stop starting conspiracy theories. I hate when people talk and they literally look like, I don't want to be inappropriate. They're making themselves very happy in what they're saying. I'll say that. Like they love the sound of their voice. Because just then he was like, how about we come up with solutions for the people of Arizona? Yeah. Oh, that was good stuff. So agitating.
Get your help. I'm asking you a question. Do Republican voters want to go over 2020 again?
I think most people want to move forward.
I think
wanna move
most
forward.
people want election integrity and election honesty, and they
What
want to
does it
make sure.
mean? What does it mean?
Like I said,
Nothing
we're
has
not having
been
election
done.
integrity
Well,
in the
you
middle of
keep
this
talking
AZ
about it, but you
GOP primary
Oh,
as it
shoot.
goes.
One sec, sorry.
Forward with
What
the
integrity?
issues that we
I
have
feel
in our
like I'm on
state.
an SNL skit here. Are
You
we
know
going
what?
to take control of the debate?
We
Ted,
are
or do you
taking.
You're the one you're one of the ones making it like that, Mrs. Lake or Miss Lake.
want me to do it?
No, Carrie, I don't want
I'm
you to
happy
try
to
to
do
take
it.
I know you would be happy
Okay.
to do it.
Listen, I haven't been on a stage with this many women since I've been to a baby shower. It's been a while.
I don't know how that's going to go over, Scott, but we'll.
What? First of all, why are you going to baby showers on stages? That doesn't make any sense. Let's watch that one more time.
Listen, I haven't been on a stage with this many women since I've been to a baby shower.
Last baby shower I went to was in a house. It wasn't on a stage. I don't know about you. But also, if you mean I haven't been like in an area with this many women since a baby shower. Yikes, dude. You hang out with a lot of bros. Which, cool. I mean, you do you, boo. But, and third, that was not a funny joke.
I don't know how that's going to go over, Scott, but we'll let that hang. Let's talk about...
See, I told you this guy is so obsessed with himself. The guy who just said the baby shower thing. He's like, I haven't been on a stage with this many women since a baby shower. I'm so funny.
I think people want election honesty.
All right, are you going to accept the election results? Do you think election security in Arizona is such that
we don't
you
have
trust...
election security?
So why keep talking about it?
So why run for governor? You don't believe in the democracy. Don't freaking participate in it.
We're going to work with the legislature to make sure we have rules in place.
That's not an answer to my question. Scott, are you going to accept the results of this election if you think there's so much fraud that it can't be trusted?
Are you talking about the primary I'm currently in?
I'm talking about the primary.
The one we're in now?
Yes.
We're going to see what happens, but...
You know, to be frank, John, I don't know the guy's name, but... I'm gonna figure out how legitimate this election was after it happens, and we'll see if I trust it based on who wins. And I can tell you this: if I win, it was the most secure election in Arizona history.
I personally don't believe.
Do you think Republican voters want a candidate who doesn't even believe in the vote?
I don't believe this primary has been fair. I can tell you that. Otherwise, I wouldn't have launched the lawsuit.
Kerry, do you think Republican voters want a candidate who doesn't believe in the integrity of the election right now?
I think they want someone who's going to do something with our elections to make sure they're fair. And we don't have fair elections, you're right, but we're going to show up and vote in droves. We have a movement. Our campaign is a movement. We're going to show up and vote in droves. They're going to have to cheat even harder in order to try to win this.
Your campaign's a psyop.
Paula, do you think that you will accept the results of an election if election security is not what you think it should be, if you believe all of these conspiracy theories?
Well, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I don't believe in that.
I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I just think the 2020 election was stolen, even though there's no evidence to prove it.
You know, I want to see the proof. I want definitive proof of everything. And then I analyze it.
We've gotten it. It's been 2 years. And we've gotten it.
And then I'm going to make my own decision. And I think that's what we have to tell the people. You know, we do protect as much as we can pre-election and during our election. And if we believe there's fraud, it should have been handled in the very beginning. When he hung up the phone at Trump and people are dissatisfied, it should have been handled immediately, not a year later. And it goes on, and we're spending millions of dollars, and we don't have...
Karen, will you accept the results, and do you trust elections?
She's like, thank God you cut me off because I did not know where the heck I was going.
Systems in Arizona to be secure.
I will accept the results, and I will work tirelessly when I'm governor to make sure penalties for ballot harvesting are sufficient to prevent it, that we have requirements for voter IDs sufficiently, and that we clean up the voter rolls, that we have uniform requirements to clean up voter rolls so that we're not sending ballots to dead people or people who have moved.
But we have
and
all
these
those
are things
rules
we
on the
have
books,
to
and
do.
they're not being enforced. They're not being enforced.
Listen, we're voting for 27 days in Arizona. This is ridiculous.
Each and every year we have to do what...
What's the problem with expanding access to voting? Like, we don't see significant at all fraud in our... I mean, not at all significant fraud in our elections. So why not try to expand it so as many people can vote as possible? Yes, that's called democracy. Expanding. Beautiful. Love it. When they're like, why do we have so many days of early voting? Or like, why do we have mail-in voting? Because fraud is super low and we get more people involved in the process and we hear more voices of Americans. That's called democracy, baby.
We can to continue to make it easier to vote and harder to cheat. It's not something we fix and then it's done. We have to be diligent every single cycle and continue to improve our process.
There's a reason that I have the America First movement behind me, and I have people who understand voting integrity and election integrity, because when they hear somebody who's trying to buy this election call our last election unfair, it was more than unfair. You just have to look at the evidence. And some people aren't willing to look
voters
at it.
are
Carrie,
ready
you're
to
buying the
move
election
on.
with free media all the time.
Okay, we are going to
27
move
years of free
on.
media.
Carrie, we'll start with you. How do we ensure that Arizona schools have quality teachers, keep quality teachers? How
I'll be right back, but keep playing this.
can we make this known as the education state?
We just put a lot of money into education with this last budget. I think it's a good thing that we are putting money into our education. I have a public school teacher who's very near and dear to my heart. Probably the most important person in my world was my father. He was a public school teacher. He taught history. He taught government. And he was a football coach. If you look at our teachers and you look at their salary, since 1970, adjusted for inflation before Joe Biden's hyperinflation, they're flat. They keep using these teachers as political pawns, and they never give them the money they deserve. You keep quality teachers by paying good teachers more money. Can I finish, please?
We've got to have a solution, okay?
And the problem is they're putting all the money into administrators. Administrators, their salaries have jumped. I don't think any administrator should make more than a teacher in the classroom. And if I may finish,
yes.
And if we get our curriculum turned around so we're not teaching nonsense, teachers will want to stay and teach.
How do we make sure that education in Arizona improves? That
Are you
we
looking at me?
No, I'm not looking at you, Paula. How do we make sure that education improves? And that, again, Arizona can be known as an education state.
Absolutely. We have been an education innovator. And when I'm governor, the money follows the kid into the classroom. And our legislature just took a huge step towards that. We're going to put the money in the classroom, and it will filter up to the administration. Instead of going through the administration.
When she was
and
at
being
ASU,
laundered
she was pushing for CRT.
That
you
is,
do not.
oh my
yes,
God.
you did.
Are you kidding?
The same day
Fake
that you didn't. No, we have it on our website. The
Fake
same
lake.
time
I had
that
a
you refused to
two-year
vote our kids out
battle.
of masks,
I
you
had a
voted for a
two-year-
CRT.
Go ahead.
I had a 2-year battle with the leftists in our universities to get American history and American government required as general education in order to graduate
Then
from
why
our
did you vote
universities.
for a CRT
It was
type of?
Because American history is riddled with stuff you would call CRT, which is us just saying, hey, we did some bad stuff, here's the facts. And here's the effect that that had.
Training for our
battle.
students. Then
we
why
now
did you
have
do that,
American
Karen?
history and American government
It
required
was
to
under her
graduate from
tutelage
Arizona
at the Board of
University.
Regents that Arizona
You know,
State University became woke. under
after-
her tutelage.
after
Okay, how do you
27
respond
years.
to that?
Tutelage, that's such a funny word.
How do you respond to what she just said?
Well, how does she respond
It's
to
right
what
there
I did?
in her Board of Regents voting
You
record.
can go
It's
to my
right
record.
there.
She is a master at fake news. 27 years in the liberal media. She learned to twist the truth.
No.
She was just fundraising at
That's
Laguna
not true.
Beach.
Right.
She was literally just in California
You know what?
fundraising
Okay,
last week, and
Scott,
she
let's
cannot
try-
cancel
Scott,
two
hold
events
on.
here to fundraise
Hold on,
in
Scott,
Laguna
please.
Beach.
I've
it's
been
not
an
the
honest
question.
journalist my whole life. That's why the people of Arizona
Okay.
asked me to run for office.
And we're
what
going
I
to try
see
and
as
keep.
fake
We're going
news
to try.
right
We're
now.
going to try and keep, as per your request, trying to get more control over this. So we're going to get back to education and power.
Well, I don't think any
as
of us
far
have been able
as
to finish a
education
sentence.
Can
is
I be
concerned.
uninterrupted this time?
We'll
Please
see.
give
We'll
me a
see.
Okay, guys, none of you have been able to finish the sentence because you're all interrupting each other. Interrupting someone to call them out for interrupting you also is interrupting them. Like,
Paula,
Give me a minute or two. All right, what is the question again?
education in Arizona. How do we improve it? How do we keep teachers? How do we keep other states from poaching our teachers?
That's right. You know what? Vouchers are good. Look, my grandchildren have gone to private, Catholic. Now they're in Catholic. They've gone to public. We've experienced it all, okay? We have a right, of course, we can afford it,
Okay.
but not every family can. So we're not going to abandon the public schools. But what's going to happen...
Jared said if you're not following Luke's Instagram, you're missing quality content. What quality content is on there? Yeah, it's fine. It's like more family stuff sometimes.
Just like business, competition is going to create a better business. It's going to create better schools, better education. And another thing, we have to go. I'm sorry, am I interrupting?
We're leading the
I was
way
gonna
in
ask you about ESAs and
education
vouchers.
freedom.
Do you think those help public schools in Arizona?
Well, First of all, public schools are still going to exist. Certain people, how many people can drive their children? My daughter drives her children 20 miles every morning and every afternoon.
But Ted, our education money does not belong to any particular school. It belongs to the children.
It belongs to
the money we spend in education belongs to the student.
I agree.
And
That's
we're going to be able
happening.
to follow that money. The money follows
That's what
the
I'm
student.
saying. It belongs. They have the decision. If they want to move their child out of the school. You know, my son.
Beach photo on story. Oh, you're just saying because I was shirtless. I see. Well, that's down now, I think, so no one gets to see it. If you send enough super chats, I'll do more shirtless Instagram photos. True politics.
My son went to a terrible public school. The teacher was abusive. I just went there and just pulled him out. She would call him stupid.
Actually, no, Patreon members. I'll post it on my Patreon. No, never mind. That's too OnlyFans. Yeah.
I'm telling you, if you meet my son, he's a star. You know what? I pulled him out. I sent him to private school. You know, he had confidence, he excelled, and you have a right as a parent to take that child and put him where you want.
And real quickly, what about those who can't afford to put their kids in private schools? Vouchers and ESAs
But I
included.
agree. I don't want to abandon the public schools. I believe we need to help them. We can't afford to have children that fail in 8th grade and put them out in our society.
We're not abandoning them.
Scott, get in on this. Education, please.
Education. Here's the solution. And here's what most people don't realize and most people don't know. In schools right now, for example, my sons who just graduated from Mesa High School about a month ago, I had found out and discovered recently that they have 5 vice principals. They have a department head for science and math and PE, physical education, you name it. Every department has a department head. They've got 8 academic counselors, 4 guidance counselors. It's all overbloated on the top. They're building a 3-story office because they're probably going to add a 6th vice principal. Mountain View High School in Mesa has 6 vice principals. I can only imagine the school district levels what they're doing with all the extra vice,
With competition, that'll have to change because they'll realize that that's not going to work anymore for the student. They'll start losing
What we need to do is fire some of these administrators, and we need to take that money and apply
I'm
it
going
to
to tell
new
you one
teacher
thing.
jobs and
An
teacher
audit has
raises.
never been done in education. It has never been done. And you know, when I'm governor, if God willing I'm there, first thing we're going to do an audit on
We
education.
don't need an audit. I just told you what's happening.
Yeah, but you do need numbers. Numbers are the proof, and then we get everything
We
in
need to
line.
know the numbers of how many administrators we're going to get rid of. You're right.
All right, Karen, as far as ESA voucher program, it was greatly expanded by this legislature.
What is
greatly
happening?
Over, some would argue, the will of the public, which greatly asked, don't do this a few years ago. Was that a wise thing to do? Would you sign something like that?
Yes, I have always been an advocate of school choice. We have a system right now designed for the adults and not the kids. When I'm governor, we will have an education system designed for the kids, and we will pay our good teachers like we want to keep them.
As far as vouchers are concerned, though, how do you tell a kid from a low-income family that to go into Brophy or some of these other expensive schools, even with vouchers, you still can't pay for that? You still can't.
But there will be many options, and as it relates to transportation, there are great pilot programs out there that we will scale and expand so people can get to the school that they want to.
How are you going to expand transportation if
They
we're
are.
stealing from the HERF fund? We are stealing money from the HERF fund. We're putting it in the general fund. We're giving more to the administrators in education. We're not raising the teacher pay. We're not hiring more teachers.
We need to raise the teacher pay.
And
If
we need to stop stealing money out of the HERF fund because our roads and bridges are decaying.
Do we agree with that?
Yes,
and I
we
want to
do.
see administrators' pay go down. We need fewer administrators. They shouldn't be making more than teachers in the classroom, except perhaps the principal.
Well, here's the thing. The principal's got to take more responsibility. He's the manager of the school.
That's
We
right.
can eliminate a lot of layers if that manager took care of his school, and we don't give him enough responsibility.
But it's a good old boy club, and they're giving their friends jobs.
All right. Okay, we got you. We got you. I want to move on. We're moving. Yeah, I got it. We're moving on, Paula. Thank you. We'll start with you, Paula. What the heck? I'm looking at you this time. Arizona, $1 billion budgeted for water. How do you spend that? How do you best spend that?
Well, you know, I've been in so many meetings for water. We're all over the place. Desalinization, groundwater, wells, taking water from Missouri, okay, the Midwest, take it from Mississippi, which is garbage, okay? Got it all over the place. I think get everybody at the table. First of all, the money that's allocated, what was it for? Desalinization. I don't know enough about it. What is the cost to the end user for desalinizing? How much water can we produce? Where is it coming from?
Lots of good questions. So, what's the prescription here?
We don't have those answers. Okay, we give over $1 billion to research that.
Well, we're not giving $1 billion to desalination.
Well, it's allocated.
So
It's allocated.
You know what? I'm glad we're talking about this, because before I got into the race, nobody wanted to talk about it. I've been covering Arizona for 27 years and hearing about our water issues. No one's taken the big, bold moves. We need every idea that's out there. We need to explore every idea, from desal of our brackish underground water. We have a lot of water.
That was my idea, by the way.
You know what? That's what I've been saying.
Can I
you're repeating what I'm saying.
Hold on, Paula.
Harry, you always repeat that.
Paula, please.
First of all, put everything.
Paula,
I feel like
what?
this is a
Please.
spoof, honestly.
Go ahead. Finish what you were saying, please.
Oh,
Is this a spoof, Ted?
No, it's not. Finish what
Are
you're
you
saying.
sure?
Yes, I am.
Wow. Okay. We need to explore every single option on the table. And I think we need to look at piping water.
Listen, I get it. That can be an honest answer for sure in some situations, but it does crack me up when, like, the answer of a politician who's running for something is, listen, we got to look at all situations. As your next governor, I'm going to look at all of our problems and I'm going to figure out the best solution. It's like, yeah, that's the idea, but we kind of want some specifics.
Water in from the Missouri River Basin, Mississippi River Basin.
That's unrealistic.
Groundwater pumping from rural areas.
We've got
the way. Should that continue unchecked?
No, it shouldn't continue unchecked. But one thing we can't do, we've got a water situation and we cannot regulate ourselves out of a drought. And we cannot continue to give the ag community the short end of the stick. Whenever things get tough, we end up taking from them. And we're going to end up with a food crisis before we have a water crisis.
That's already coming.
If we don't handle it.
All right, Scott, you're busting to get in here. Water policy, $1 billion. How do you spend it?
$1 billion. Okay, first of all, I don't do what Kerry Lake's been talking about for months and Doug Ducey's been talking about for months, which is to build a desalination plant in Mexico on the Sea of Cortez and then pipe clean water into Arizona. We don't do that. What we do is we take our current desalination plant that was built in 1992 that's sitting in Yuma, Arizona. It was built by the Army Corps of Engineers back in 92. We can pipe the water in from Mexico. There's no problem with that. We can desal it in Arizona, creating Arizona jobs, not Mexican jobs. We can take the brine from the desal. We can use that brine to create micronuclear systems.
And how much is all this
Oh, totally, Junk Say. I definitely think the lake person's going to win for sure.
going to cost?
Micronuclear, we can do a micronuclear system.
No, everything you just said. How much is that going to cost?
Everything that, probably in the ballpark, the micronuclear is going to be probably $1 billion. The desal plant's probably going to be $1 billion. It's probably going to be about $2 billion.
Okay. Karen, as far as water is concerned in Arizona, the money is now, attention is now there. What do we do?
I'm the only candidate in this race that has nearly 30 years of experience in natural resource management, including water issues. Every option has to be looked at, every option. That money is going to be used largely for financing various projects. And so we have the benefit of technology. We need to try desal. We need to try cloud seeding. We need to eliminate the salt seeders.
So cloud seeding's real? I was wondered about that.
It absolutely is. We need to eliminate the salt seeders that are sucking up 55,000 acre-feet of water a year. We need to do a better job of conservation and efficiencies. And with technology, we can. We can. But we have a sustaining drought. And we have...
Sylvia Davila, what's up? He said, Luke, please do your Trump impression at some point. Oh, it's been a while since I've busted out the old Trump impression. I'm so proud of Carol Lake. Many people are saying that she's a fake lake, but I don't think she's a fake lake. I think she's a real lake. And you know what they say about fake lakes, folks? Do we know what they say? I don't know what they say. That's all I have for now.
A growing population. So this is going to take multiple solutions, and being able to get everybody together, whether it's rural, whether it's ag, whether it's urban, get them together to forge solutions. It's a complex problem. And so as governor, I will bring everybody together to the table to figure it out.
I think
we need to bring our federal delegation.
By the way, I didn't know if her name was what her first name was, so I just put Carol there. I don't know. Is that it? I feel like I might have heard that.
Congressmen and senators. Get them on the same page. Everyone, last I heard, every Democrat and Republican and independent drinks water. And we need to send them to D.C. and say we need federal cooperation. This is what we don't want this to get into.
Did you hear in the background? The girl goes, flushes toilets too. This is too good.
To crisis mode. We want to solve this problem before it gets there. And Arizona is growing. As these blue states continue to push policies that are destructive and driving people out, more people are moving to Arizona, and that's not going to change.
How much should water be a part of growth in Arizona, impacting growth in...
I know, Hillary, it needs some work. Sylvia sent me a super chat saying, please. I did it. I did it for you. Much love. Thank you so much for the super chat.
There are water concerns. I mean,
Water's the number one.
Scott, I'm asking Carrie, how much of a concern should growth be as far as future plans are concerned?
See, with the Trump impression, you have to decide which angle. Because one of his things, like Alec Baldwin, just did the little thing that he, like his kind of chill voice. Or you have to do like his hyped voice, which is the one I do, which is like, you know, we gotta get a hold, and he does like the little ba 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 ba. Because he kind of has different styles. Sometimes he'll be giving a speech and it's just like this, but then sometimes he does like the real bizarre inflections and like, we have to put America first, you know.
Well, I mean, we've got to have water. And I think actually...
Sylvia sent another super chat saying, thank you, you're the best. No, you're the best, Sylvia.
Our growth is going to spur the need to really push this quickly. We don't need to drag our feet on this. We need to push it quickly.
Okay, big developments in Buckeye, big developments in Benson, these kinds of things. Are these things we should take a second look at because of water concerns?
Yes. I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I think the development that we have going, we should continue with.
Now, here's my thing. Okay?
Please.
Okay. We've got thousands and thousands of apartments. They get a 100-year certificate. I want to know, how are they getting this?
I love this lady. I want to know.
100-year certificate, and they just keep booming. And you're right. The development is just exploding.
So
well,
keep developments in mind when water policy,
There should
as far as future growth is concerned.
Well, they should.
Well, they're supposed to. Karen?
I would agree. Growth and development needs to pay for itself, and they largely do. Major master plan communities have to have the assured water supply. They have to get the certificate before they can sign a final plat. They have to build the roads, their water treatment facilities. They have to build effluent lines. They need to pay their way.
But is that paradigm, that schematic, changing with the drought? We don't have the kind of water we thought we would.
Well, then then you can't develop because you can't get a plat approved.
Okay.
But they are developing. You see, there's nothing stopping. Yeah. Tell me that.
Oh, Hillary, the context is that in this debate, this lady's name is Lake, and this lady keeps calling this lady Fake Lake, so that's why we're saying Fake Lake.
3,000 apartments.
If there's assured water supply, Paula, you can develop.
Yeah.
The question is, should that assured water supply, should the equation be changed with the drought? So, and you're saying yes. Okay, we got you. It's just
why keep going? Yes. I mean, are they telling us the truth?
Yeah.
Maybe we don't have the truth.
Carrie, we'll start with you on this one. The new law banning abortion, new law banning abortion in Arizona after 15 weeks. There's that law, and there's a territorial era law which bans all abortion. Zippo, over. Which law do you think should take effect?
My personal belief is that all life matters, all life counts, and all life is precious, and I don't believe in abortion. I think the older law is going to go into effect. That's what I believe will happen.
Okay, but you approve of that? At conception?
I believe life begins at conception.
Okay, what do we do about abortion pills? What do we do about...
I don't think abortion pills should be legal. That's
not in Arizona. Karen, what do you think?
I agree.
You agree?
I agree. I am 100% pro-life. I always have been.
Unfortunately, her voting record doesn't show that.
That is
the Arizona Board of Regents. May I tell them what happened at the Board of Regents?
You know what? Let me tell them what happened.
Let her finish, and then we'll get back to you.
I really would like to know.
She continues to distort the record.
Because this is a fact.
Fake Lake.
The bill came to the Board of Regents in February, signed by the governor at the end of the session after changes were made to the bill that we raised that could have cost Arizona taxpayers billions of dollars. And if that piece of legislation landed on my desk as it did, I would have signed it. I would have signed it in a second.
She voted to use taxpayer money to hire a lobbyist to go down to the Capitol and work to kill one of the most important piece of pro-life legislation that we had. Senator Nancy Bartow was behind that. She's one of our great stalwarts,
and she made the amendment.
Endorsed me.
She made the amendment to eliminate the contractual liability issue that we raised. She made the amendment to deal with the contractual liability issue that we raised.
And there's a reason she's endorsing me, because you tried to get that piece of legislation killed. And that
she's a master at, you know, like I said, fake news, twisting the record.
Yeah,
and you know what? If
the record is right there,
understood the process,
you can
she's either lying or she doesn't understand the process. Take your pick.
Let's talk about solutions rather than fight.
Yeah, well, yeah. Thank you, Scott.
Gosh, I hate him so much. Even though I agree with what he said, I still hate him.
Talk about your ideas regarding abortion, the 15-week ban or the territorial
Listen, this is
complete
how
ban?
I see life, okay? And I'm glad life won, okay? Roe versus Wade was overturned. Life won. Life won. Thank God. But the way I see life is this. If we were exploring other planets and other solar systems, and say on Mars we actually found a clump of cells, let's call it, life, right? Wouldn't we do, whether we're Republicans or Democrats or whoever, man or woman, wouldn't we do everything we could to protect that life? Because it's new life. Well, why can't we treat human life in the same way that we would treat alien life that we...
Do I have to respond? No, I don't have to respond to that. He's dunking on himself enough.
Discovered on an alien planet.
How would you handle mayors from big cities like, say, Phoenix and Tucson, who say that they will not put an emphasis on going after doctors who perform abortions, early abortions, prior to 15-week abortions?
Well, we can withhold funding to them cities, those mayors.
Paula, what do you think of this?
Yeah. Well, I'm pro-life from conception to death. And I believe...
No exceptions for rape or incest?
Well, that's a gray area. I don't know. That's a personal decision for a person. I do believe that.
Oh, so in other words, it's their choice. Like, I love that every time, because it sounds so nice coming out the tongue. I'm pro-life from conception to death. Okay, so you want someone who was raped to have to use their body and their biology to create the being that was produced through that rape? Well, when it comes to that, that's a tough situation. And as I was explaining to someone who came on to talk my show, I was like, or Salim and I were talking. I was explaining how the reason why we put so much emphasis, well, one, it's tragic and horrible, but two, on rape is because it can allow you to understand that the value of that life is not yet so significant, or it's not yet warranted of its own individual rights through the conversation around rape. So when you think someone should use their body, should have to be used to produce another being that they didn't ask for in a rape scenario, it can allow people to go, oh wait, what? And that makes you realize, oh, the line clearly isn't conception, because if it was all of those examples, you would say, yes, she has the obligation to produce that using her bodily system, right? So then you understand, okay, maybe it's not then. Maybe that being has to be like, obviously there's different places that different people argue. Some people argue consciousness, when it starts having a brain functioning that it could experience the pain of dying. The other obviously big one is viability, if it could live outside the womb, therefore not using the body of the mother, then that's the line. Like, then you get into the conversation around where's that line where the being is warranted of its own individual rights. But the reason why we talk about rape, and if you don't have an answer for that, like, go away. You have no like reason to be talking in this arena, is because it does reveal to most people, oh wait, clearly there's some distinction between a being at that stage and a being once it's like more developed outside the womb, whatever you want to say. And because the example you use, okay, if you think it's okay, if you think that all beings after conception are a full life that is warranted of its own individual rights, then that means you're just saying you think it's okay to kill some lives similar to that, death penalty, if it was conceived through rape, right? That's what you're saying. You're saying it's the same in or out of the womb. I just think it's okay to kill life if it was in the context of rape or incest. All right, well, that means that you don't have any argument for why it's not okay to kill someone once they're outside of the womb if they were conceived through rape. Wait, if I find out someone was conceived through rape, I can kill them, just a regular person in life? No, of course not. So that's kind of where you can really dial the conversation down to understand, do you really believe that being is warranted of its own individual rights, and that the being that's producing that being doesn't have a right to decide if it wants to continue producing that being?
And I'm giving you my personal input. And I believe when government gets involved and says, hey, it's a way of birth control. No, it's not. It's not a way of birth control. All right?
Yeah, Salim, I know your stance on it for sure. I was just explaining mine.
The problem is even those people rioting, who are they? They're angry. You know what? All of them have had abortions. They want the government to authorize what they have done. All right, so that's the problem.
Abortion has killed 63 million babies.
I know.
And I don't think anybody's okay with that. Is life sacred or is it
Governor,
not?
if Governor, let's say that the
okay.
territorial ban...
No, the point is we don't think it was babies. That's the point.
...somehow is approved and there is no abortion. It's over. Would you push to increase foster care services?
Absolutely.
Other safety net services?
It
costs money.
Are you asking me or Paula?
I'm asking you.
Yeah, but you're always
Paula,
interrupting me.
please,
She's
good
always
Lord.
interrupting
Paula.
me, and you're allowing it.
I'll let
Paula,
Paula answer if she wants.
No, I will answer.
No, we're asking you the question. Will social services and foster
the
care
worst
services...
part, one of the worst things about abortion and the way it has been played out for the past 50 years wrongfully is that a woman who's afraid and pregnant walks into a Planned Parenthood and they're given one option, the absolute worst option. They're not told that they can be the mother God envisioned them being. They're not told that there's help. They're not told that there is adoption help if they want to put their baby up for adoption. They're only given the worst option. I have a friend who had an abortion, 30 when she was...
I was talking with someone about this, and it just shocked my mind. Wait, let me find the percentage, and then I'll tell you what I'm talking about.
15 years later, when she was 30, she found out she could never conceive. They cut her cervix. She was never able to be that mother. And it's a scar that never goes away.
So you would
women.
improve social safety net and...
Absolutely.
Okay, would you do that, Paula?
No, I would start here first. You talk about a scar, the scar on the girl's life that she doesn't realize when she makes that decision that haunts her.
Okay, I'm going to do a whole story on my show about this, so you'll hear me talking about this again. Oh my gosh, this is horrible. Oh, okay. 30% of the foster care system is LGBTQ. Why? Because 70% of them had to be put in the foster care system because of hostility from their foster families related to them being LGBTQ. One foster parent told him, "You can be gay, just not in my house." What are we doing in this country? This is why all of the people who say hateful rhetoric and allow it to be commonplace to hate people for being LGBTQ are so dangerous. Because we've created a culture where parents are saying to their kids, "You can't live in my home," and they would rather their kids be in foster care because they're LGBTQ. This is why advocating for LGBTQ rights is so important. We have to change for good the culture around being these different identity groups. 30% of kids in foster care in the United States are LGBTQ, and and the reason for most of those is because they're LGBTQ, because they got kicked out of their home. 7% of the population is actually LGBTQ. 30% is LGBTQ, or okay, more than 7%, but 7% report to be LGBTQ and 30% in the foster care system. It's way disproportional. And like I said, it's because they're getting kicked out of their home for being LGBTQ. Again, I'm going to do a whole story on this. That's just, girl, what are we doing as a country? And it's completely commonplace. We were watching the interview the other day where the guy was calling for the deaths of gay people. We watched the pastor calling for the deaths of gay people. It's like, no, we cannot allow this. And this is why we as a progressive movement have to take power and make it clear that that time's over. This is not allowed anymore. And every single leader in the public eye needs to be pro-LGBTQ.
For years, I met with someone 47 years old, and she brought it up, and she says, you know, this has haunted me all my life. We never talk about what it does to a woman. All right?
Will you support state funding for social safety nets and all these sorts of services that will be needed if abortion is further restricted in Arizona?
Safety nets, what? Supporting the child, not
all
planned.
Sorts of services.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
There's a lot of great services out there.
Okay, Karen, I mean, are you ready to spend the money that will no doubt be needed if abortion, territorial or 15-week ban, either one, if that becomes law?
Absolutely. Abortion is evidence that we have failed women. I will do something similar to what they did in Texas, $100 million to the Alternatives to Abortion Act. I have always been pro-life, 100%. And I think that we have to protect.
We don't have to ID as progressive to be reasonable. True. We should expect it of everyone. I absolutely agree.
Protect and take care of the woman as much as we take care of and be concerned
Ready to
about
spend money on that?
Absolutely. And I also think it's quite interesting that Carrie Lake, who knocked on doors for Barack Obama,
That's
the
absolutely.
most pro-abortion
She
president
is
of our
accusing me
time,
of lying.
She's
accusing
decided
me of
about
Donated to Barack Obama twice.
You know what?
And
and
she
this
walked
one is
I've got the
doors.
FBC filing.
And
right
this
She
one
walked
has
doors for Barack
donated
Obama.
tens of thousands of dollars
So she
to the
immediately
most
switched
liberal
her position when she
candidate.
decided to become
Okay,
the
hold
state
on, hold on. Everyone, please. Gary, respond, please.
First of all, when I talk about Karen's record, it's fact. It's from the Arizona Board of
And it's
Regents,
wrong.
her voting record.
You are
and you can go to
wrong.
carrielake.com and show that.
Right.
She's spending millions of dollars,
and
more
you can
than
go to
any.
lakeisfake.com to see about her donations.
Real quickly, before we get done.
Y'all want to go there at lakeisfake.com? Lakeisfake.com. Let's see what she got. The truth about Carrie Lake, pro-amnesty Obama supporter. Let's watch this.
Fake Carrie Lake. It's time to get real about fake Carrie Lake. Lake supports amnesty, allowing 11 million illegals to stay in the U.S. indefinitely. Carrie called herself a lifetime member of the NRA, but only joined last year. Lake even gave money to Barack Obama. Karen Taylor Robeson is a lifelong proven conservative.
Ah, interesting. Well, all the stuff in there was cool. I wish she actually was still like that. Oh, look, she used to say Black Lives Matter.
You did change. You did change your political affiliation, your thoughts, and your ideas. Why is that a bad thing, Karen? I mean, Ronald Reagan.
Yeah, so did Trump. Trump was also a Democrat his whole life until he wanted to run for president.
Reagan changed. He was a Democrat. Donald Trump changed. He was a Democrat.
Ronald Reagan.
She doesn't want
I
people
worked
who
for
change.
Ronald
Please let
Reagan.
Karen
She's
respond.
no Ronald Reagan. She was.
But people changed.
You know what? She found God, guns, in the GOP about a day and a half before she decided to run for governor.
And it says it on her website.
Okay, Carrie,
she
I want to
supported
get back
Barack
to you, Carrie.
Obama, and she can't
Some would
deny
say,
that.
some would say that the ability to change is a good thing. Some would also say that the ability to change is not such a good thing in a position of leadership. How would you
We're in
respond
an
to that?
amazing spot right now where people are waking up to the lies of the Democrat Party by the droves. Literally, we had somebody come into our office and wanted to register to vote as a Republican. He'd been a Democrat his whole life. So people are waking up, and if Karen doesn't want those voters, I do. If you're waking up to the lies of the Democrat Party, we want you in the party that has ideas that work, the party of common sense.
I do think if you change all your views a year before you run for governor, that is a sign of, being a little disingenuous.
It was 10 million Obama voters who crossed over and gave us President Donald J. Trump. President Trump donated to Hillary Clinton before. He was a Democrat before, as was Ronald Reagan. I'd rather be with Ronald Reagan, President Trump, and Carrie Lake than Mitt Romney, Liz Cheney, and John McCain, who are all of the same cloth, cut from the same cloth as Karen.
You got 30 seconds, Scott.
Sure.
You get the last word on this.
Sounds great.
The idea of changing as a leader, as an executive, is that such a bad thing?
It's not a bad thing if you're honest about it. For example, you know, the whole drag queen debacle with her and her drag queen friends and whatnot. She's not being honest about it.
To this.
She's not being honest about it, and now she's suing the drag queen. I mean, the drag queen's got evidence. She
Are you not okay, Scott? You opened up with that.
Because drag is fun, so it's cool that she hung out with them. Why is she turning now?
Can of words.
I'm saying watching, like, have you ever been to a drag show? It's awesome. It's so fun.
30 seconds.
Yeah, she brought drag queens in front of her children.
Carrie, how do you respond
First
to
of
this
all,
whole
you
thing?
know what? I've never backed away from anything I've done in my life.
Be honest about it. That's
Scott,
all we're asking.
I think I'd like to answer.
Let her answer, please, Scott.
There's a reason we don't always invite Scott, because he's polling at 0%.
No, 1%.
And this is what happens
but the polls lie.
Scott, please.
Would you like me to answer
the last word, and please make it quick.
I never hide from anything. I've been honest about everything. The people of Arizona have known me for 27 years. Those pictures actually came from my own website. I don't have a problem if you want to go to a show where someone's a impersonator. This person that made these accusations, many of them defamatory, was a friend, and he was funny. But he's lying. He's never been to my home. And I don't have a problem if, as an adult, you want to go to a show. My problem is, and I think every sane, hardworking person doesn't want drag shows in their schools. That's pretty obvious, and that's what it's about.
And that's where we're going to end. With drag schools in our drag shows in our schools.
Drag queens and drag shows.
Time now for closing statements, and going in reverse order of our opening remarks, we start with Karen Taylor Robeson.
Thank you. You have heard big differences from the
Her name's
candidates today.
actually Karen. That's awesome.
Carrie Lake and I are quite different. She did knock on doors for Barack Obama. She advocated for mass amnesty, and she was a card-carrying member of the liberal media for 27 years. I had the honor of a lifetime to work for Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan told us that freedom was one generation away from extinction. I've had an honor of my lifetime to campaign for governor of this great state. You've welcomed me into your homes and into your communities. I've listened to your stories and I've heard your concerns. Please know this. I will not
we'll finish it, whatever.
only fight for you every day. I will win for you every day. We will secure our borders. We will fight crime. And we will help Arizona families who are hurting from Joe Biden's economic disasters in Washington, D.C. Please support me for Governor. Karen Taylor Robeson. Thank you.
All right, and now the closing statement from Carrie Lake.
That was a great memorized line, Karen. You know what? I have been covering Arizona for 27 years. I know the people of this great state. We are at a crossroads right now. Are we going back to the old way of doing politics, the McCain style of politics, where only a few people are brought in, the political elite, and the rest of us are left out? Or are we going to go America first, Arizona first policies? There's a reason President Trump has endorsed me. There's a reason that all of the great America first leaders have endorsed me. And there's a reason President Trump calls Karen Robeson a rhino. The fact is, that's what she is. I encourage you to go to our website and take a look at her real record. I want to secure the border, and we will. We have some of the toughest people on the border who support our border policy. We will secure the border starting on day one. We will improve our schools and make sure our kids are safe while they're there. And we will finally solve our water issues here in Arizona. I encourage you to vote for me August 2nd. Thank you, Arizona.
Thank you very much. And next we go to Paula Tuliani-Zen.
All right. You know what? I have to say this, Carrie. You got recognition and endorsements because you are a celebrity. You've been on TV for 25 years. You did a great job. You're beautiful, great figure. But you know what? I've got experience and the obstacles and solutions that I can give to this government. Okay? I know the business. The other thing, I have a question for you.
This is your closing statement. Why are you interviewing her?
You endorsed Trump. You helped him. You helped him after you left your position. Why didn't you quit your position 2 years before? You really could have helped Trump. You could have been the hero in the United States. Here's Carrie Lake. She's for Trump. She's bashing the media 2 years before while he was president. You got on after he left, after he lost, after you had giving up your contract. So what is the point? Why wouldn't they endorse you? You were so visible, and that's the problem. We're getting to people that are visible. No, we got to get to people that can do it.
All right, that's it. That's your 1 minute closing statement. Paula, that's your 1 minute closing statement. You got it?
Got it.
Good. And no, you can't respond to a closing statement. And we finish our closing statements with Scott Neely. Scott?
Hi, I'm Scott Neely, candidate for Arizona governor. I'd like you to vote for me. And
Did he forget that this is the closing statement and not the opening statement? Hi, I'm Scott Neely. Yeah, you did that already. Now you're closing.
August 2nd, Republican primary. You can go to neelyforgovernor.com. That's Neely, F-O-R, governor.com to learn more about my actual solutions, not my talking points. I'm not a talking point guy. I'm a solutions guy. I have the real solutions for Arizona. I have the solutions to solve our water problems, our infrastructure problems. We need to start funding our HERF fund again. We need to start getting our roads and bridges repaired. We need to get Arizona back on track. We need to get homeless off the street. There are so many things we need to do to solve Arizona's problems. And I'm sorry, but the only kind of drag I've ever dressed in is a business suit or construction work clothes. I've never aspired to be Elvis Presley.
That's a shame.
All right, that's it.
I don't get it.
That's it. Thank you to all of our candidates. Programming note, Arizona Horizon will host Democratic gubernatorial candidate Marco Lopez tomorrow, June 30th at 5 and 10 p.m. There is no debate in the Democratic gubernatorial race because the other candidate declined to participate. And one more note, you can watch tonight's debate in all its glory, again on azpbs.org, where you can catch all.
Wow. Well, that was fascinating. Indeed, fascinating it was. Well, 3-hour live stream. That was crazy. We will be back tomorrow at 5 p.m. Don't forget, 5 p.m. Eastern. Don't forget that I will be chatting with Raymer, who is a history nerd, who's going to give us everything we should know about the rise of fascism in Nazi Germany so that we can be more informed when we go about our lives. And also a little bit of a response to Vosh's and my debate, so that we can be informed on how it might compare to here, how it might not compare, and all that good stuff. So I'll see you tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern. Be there or be square. Love you all.